Who's down to clown?
I swear to God, John.
Are we recording? Did you get that?
Yeah, no, I got down to clown.
Oh, good. That's how we're starting.
All right.
Who's down to clown?
Hey, all you creatures from cyberspace. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the GraveTalk podcast. My name is Mark. Again, joined with Garrett and John. We're back on this rainy Sunday. It's been really wet the last 2.5 weeks here.
Yeah.
I can't mow my yard yet. I'm like, I don't want to push it through the mud, you know?
Yeah.
The grass is getting out of control.
It's been very annoying.
Hey, Mark, how's those first world problems treating you?
Oh, man. It's tough being an American. You know what I mean?
It's horrible. I'll tell you what. But look, I mean, I'm not like a weather person, but wouldn't it be possible?
A meteorologist?
Yeah, whatever. Would it be possible to get rain spread out across the whole year instead of 9 months of no rain and then 3 months of all rain?
I like your plan. I'm
Thank
voting
you.
for you for
Thank you.
weatherman.
I'm actually voting against this because
you
the
like
rain
it?
depresses the hell out of me, so I'd rather have it all at one little spurt and be depressed for like a short period of time and then have the rest of the
Fair.
year.
What if it was just only on Thursdays?
I could work with that.
Yeah,
One day a week.
fucking suck
Can you,
anyway.
can you make that happen?
Yeah, I'm on it.
Fake Friday, so
That's bowling night, so I'm cool.
Yeah, Thursdays suck, man.
Yeah.
Pretending to be Fridays.
What was that TV show? Must See Thursdays or something? Or is
Yeah,
that?
TGITs.
I believe that's what it was. Yeah.
Well, we're here today to talk about Terrifier 2. Came out in 2022. This is the sequel to The Terrifier.
Well, can I ask you guys real quick? What have you been up to? Did
Well-
you see anything cool? Anything new?
The only thing I've really been doing is playing Resident Evil 8 in third-person mode. They just released that DLC, so
I
I'm
did
redoing
buy that for our streaming stuff coming up.
Okay, good. It's not bad. I like it.
Do you like it better than the first person mode?
I think I do.
Okay.
I think I do. It's more immersive. You know what I mean?
You feel like you're there a little bit more, which
yeah.
is weird because most people feel the opposite way with first person.
I think for 7 and 8, I like the first person, but you give me the 2, 3, 4 remakes, I'm still good with the third person.
Do you really get a sense of scale with Lady Dimitrescu?
She's still very big.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
all I want to know.
Yeah, that's not
Is
taken
my
from
Dommy
yet.
mommy still big? That's all I need to know.
She's a big lady.
Okay.
Yeah. Other than that, I've been watching some of the Cabinet of Curiosities, the Guillermo del Toro anthology
I
series.
like the L roll. That was nice.
I tried very hard not to
Okay.
fuck it up. Thank you. 3 episodes in, I think those are pretty fun. Getting a lot of hints of the old stuff like Tales from the Dark Side, a little Twilight Zone-esque stuff. They're all about 35 to an hour in
Yeah.
length, I think.
I think the second one's the shortest. That was like the only 35er, and then the rest are like 50 plus.
That's the one with the graveyard robberies.
yeah, with the rats.
Yeah, that one was pretty cool.
Rats off to you, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's show, man. All killer, no filler. It's good.
Got famous people in every episode. You know, I always see a face that I'm like, oh, that guy. That's that.
2 Lovecraft-based stories. You haven't got to them yet, I don't think, but
Well, the one with the graveyard, when he gets down there, there's like a Cthulhu-esque statue underneath all the plots.
yes, very cool. But there's 2 directly inspired, or they claim
Yeah,
are
there's
inspired.
Oh,
so
even
much
more so.
more. Yeah, Lovecraftian stuff. Speaking of Lovecraftian stuff, man, there's a lot of Lovecraft stuff happening in horror right now.
Oh, yeah? What do
Yeah.
you...
Well,
what
we'll
do you-
talk about it. Go ahead and finish, Mark.
Okay, no, I would just say I highly recommend it. I'm going to stick with it. I hope it gets another season. I love these anthology shows because if one episode is kind of a bummer, the next one's going to be the tits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Kind of like
agree.
Creepshow. It's like
Right.
even if you find one to be like lackluster, the next one usually like pulls you right back up into it.
I think if I were to kind of compare the two, I think this is probably a caliber above Creepshow.
Yes.
Creepshow is definitely more of a schlocky B feel to it, where this is trying to be a little more than that.
Okay.
But this has got Netflix money. Creepshow's got Shutter money. So
And there's the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what have you been watching, John?
honestly, that same. I finished it. I watched all the episodes of Cabinet of Curiosity, but then I think I watched a couple of really shitty horror movies on Peacock.
Did you finish your fan script for Maverick 3, The Mavericking?
Great question. No, I'm continuing to work on. I haven't even landed on the Mavericking or Maverick Boogaloo. More to come on the name, but I have not finished a script yet.
The Maverick Rick and Roll.
So many options. To be honest, the Mavericking. I basically spent the last 2 weeks just thinking of titles.
The Maverick verse, really. Basically, when you someone called James Wan.
The new MCU.
Well, since we're talking about Top Gun yet again on this podcast.
Not my fault. I didn't bring it up this time.
I meant to ask you, did Val Kilmer come back at all?
Yes.
He's in it. Okay.
He is in it. He does a great job. They work around his voice problems. It's stupendous.
Okay. I'm going to get around to it. I just haven't yet.
I have the Blu-ray. I will give you. It's the 4K Ultra HD.
You mean borrow? You're not going to actually literally give them your copy.
No, let's be real here. This is my most valued possession. You should feel honored. I'm going to hand it off to you.
Will you lend me the first one too? I know you got a physical of that too.
No, I don't actually.
don't?
I only have a digital copy of the first one on iTunes.
Then I'll go scrub it up somewhere online and watch that before I get to the Maverick. It's probably been 20 years since I've seen the original Top Gun.
Watch them back to back. I'm telling you, you
hanging with the boys.
Can't go wrong.
I kind of just want to go back and watch the spoof movie too.
Hot Shots.
Hot Shots and Hot Shots
Jesus
Part
Christ,
2.
I forgot those. I didn't find those that funny, honestly.
They were funny as a kid. I bet
Yeah.
they suck now.
I basically only remember the chicken shooting.
Oh, the Rambo
Rambo,
scene?
yeah. I barely remember those films.
That was
I
the
want to
second
watch them
one.
too.
Naked Gun movies still hold up, though.
The
Let's-
Naked Gun is one of my favorite comedies of all time.
It's
Agreed.
really good.
Well, Garrett, what about you?
Oh, man. I was in Vegas for a couple days, so I am tired. I am barely hanging in there.
Let me ask
Had
you,
a
is
lot
there
of fun.
still dudes on the street slapping pamphlets for ladies?
Way less now.
Okay.
Way less. It used to be much more prevalent. Now it's very small. They made a bunch of like rule changes to like, solicitation and stuff like that. So I think there's a lot more like, let's play it cool. Did get offered drugs walking along the
Nice.
strip by someone. And it was funny because the people I was with were like, they didn't offer us drugs. And I was like, yeah, I know. Trust me. I know.
You don't look like the type.
Wow. Did your dare training kick in? Did you just say no?
I analyzed the situation. I was like, this guy looks like an undercover cop. No, thank you.
All right.
Smart man.
We went to
smart
a
man.
rad tiki bar. That was awesome. Love a good tiki bar. That's like my home away from home. You put some pink and blue lights on some tropical like plants and I'm happy.
I'm going to guess by the fact that I've seen you drink so many blue drinks with umbrellas in them that you probably have a whole cabinet full of tiki mugs downstairs.
I actually don't own any tiki mugs.
What?
Actually, I own one.
Okay.
I own one at
One.
Mystery Science Theater. One.
All right, that's fair.
Just to really class it up. No, I don't like to make tiki drinks, but I'll patronize. I'll pay for them all day long.
I'll drink them, just not make them.
Yeah. Other than that, I've been watching a few horror movies. Watched The Cabinet of Curiosities, which is just, as John would say, a banger. Mm-hmm. And
Is that what you would say?
I did. Well, yes. I mean, this time I said all killer, no filler, but it's synonymous with banger.
yeah, it's the synonym.
Got it.
Also, speaking of Lovecraft stuff, Guillermo del Toro. I did not roll my L like you did. Sorry, audience.
Guillermo.
You got to watch
Guillermo.
more what you do,
Guillermo.
what we do in the shadows. That's where I
Gizmo.
learned how to say it.
Gizmo del Toro.
Gizmo.
I think my name's Guillermo.
They released the test footage for the Mountains of Madness. That shit was sick. That was so creepy. Like, I'm so excited Del Toro is doing some Lovecraft stuff because if anybody can do it right, this guy's going to nail it.
If a man can make ladies get wet over a fish man,
Yeah. Was that
He
his
could-
last movie?
I think so.
He does take a long time.
Did
to
you
put
see my
these out.
water pun I just did? I don't
Yeah.
think you caught it.
Yeah, no, we got
Yeah,
it.
I
We
got it. I was just leaving that one for the audience.
That's fair.
There's also a Lovecraftian fish monster movie that won the HP Lovecraft Film Festival called Freeze. The trailer's out for that. If you guys haven't seen it, check it out. That looks really creepy as well.
Okay.
Freeze like in the art world or freeze as in like cold?
Freeze isn't cold.
Okay.
So
Yeah, like
I have
it's
a
stop
feeling-
moving.
I have a feeling it was frozen and it got unthawed and got thawed.
Ah, I see.
So unthawed, as the kids say. Other than that, there's been like just a little bit of random news about stuff. Mark, I'm sure you've heard that there is a Netflix movie coming out called Gamera Rebirth.
I actually didn't hear that.
Yes.
So this is news. Breaking news. Giant turtle in sky.
But I don't know how you make breaking
Fangoria-
news sound.
That's good. That
Thank you.
worked.
Fangoria has a teaser, and it's announced for Netflix, and it's called Gamera Rebirth. So that's coming.
Very cool.
So
I'm into that.
for all you Godzilla nerds out there. Other than that, there's been some cool trailers coming out. Salem's Lot got an official rating, so we got to be getting close to that finally coming out.
I'm excited it's R. That's good.
Yeah, always a good sign when a horror movie's rated R. Other than that, just your same old shit. So let's talk about a movie that I was forced to watch this week.
Real quick, we'll get into that. in a second.
Okay. No, take your time.
The only other bit of news, since we're not going to do a GraveTalk news pile this week because there just wasn't a whole.
we
lot
will. We're just going to talk about Top Gun Maverick.
Yes, yeah. It's called Top Gun Pile. TGPs.
It's called Dogpile with the Tops.
Oh shit! All right, I like that.
The Blumhouse and James Wan Studios are talking about merging into one.
Yeah, I was
the
going to say
Atomic Monster.
I was going to say this for the news pile, but I guess we're going to talk about it now.
This is the news
Well, hold
pile.
on.
We're piling news.
Do you actually have more than that for the news? Because that's the only thing I saw.
No, I had a little bit more, but you know what? I like just mashing it all in here. This is good. Let's just mash it in.
We didn't have a cold open, so
Yeah, fuck that. Let's mash it in.
yeah.
This is our news open.
We're gonna call it Wan
Welcome
House.
to the Mashables.
So yes, James Wan's Atomic Monster and Jason Blum's Blumhouse are set to merge into one giant horror factory machine thing.
Conglomerate.
How do we feel about this? Because honestly, I'm torn.
Yeah, I was really kind of like scratching my head as like, okay, first off, I need to see a list of all the Atomic Monster movies because I don't quite know. Because the first one I thought was Malignant.
That's the only one yet.
Is that is one of the Atomic Monster movies?
That's a James Wan film studio movie.
Okay.
Does he do Conjuring? Is that in his?
They are. Yeah. So those actually do qualify there.
Okay. I know he directed it. I didn't know if his studio produced it.
The Nun.
Annabelle, The Nun, Conjuring, that Mortal Kombat
Can't you see
movie.
this woman's a nun?
So we could get like well, I guess we already could have had a Mortal Kombat Nun crossover film.
I'm waiting for Mortal Kombat 12 where Lorena is one of the playable characters.
Yeah.
Because she's already a fucking
Ed
superhero.
Warren.
Ed Warren.
Ed Warren. Not Ed Warren, Ed Warren.
Ed
Sorry.
and Lorraine Warren.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're going to be characters in Mortal Kombat.
I love it.
I don't know because Jason Blum's Blumhouse is more of like a production side of things, right? Like they're
Yeah.
not making the movies, right?
They make some. They make
pay
some.
for
They
people to
mostly
go to
produce
it.
a lot of stuff. But James Wan's been doing that a lot too. I think it was James Wan that actually started that whole like funding for female writers and directors to get their movies a chance to get made and stuff like that. So I think there's a lot of potential good that could come out of this as far as like really breaking it open for more. But we're getting a streaming service out of this. These two are
Man,
definitely going to make their own streaming service.
something we don't need.
Yeah,
Another
fuck
one of
that.
those.
It's going to be called Spook Channel or something. I don't know.
Maybe I can complain about Screenbox some more. Here's some news. Screenbox still sucks.
Have you tried watching anything else?
No, all I got it for was Terrifier 2, and I'm going to, now we're doing this podcast, I'm going to cancel it because it sucks and it didn't hook me.
Wow.
Well, there you go.
Audience, get at us. What do you think of Screenbox?
If you don't think it sucks, you haven't used it.
Well, a little more info on this merger. It was said that the idea was the alliance is going to increase output from each side, where Blumhouse usually puts out 3 to 4 movies. This will allow them to put out closer to 8 a year. So,
That's not a bad thing. More horror is not a bad thing because, Malignant snuck up on us.
Yeah?
There's been some really good James Wan films. Insidious, a fucking classic. I love Insidious.
Truth.
So, I don't think this is going to be a terrible thing. I do wonder about, is this going to push a little more indies out for more Halloween Ends type situations, or is this going to allow just both to be able to, get proper budgeting and marketing and stuff like that? I don't know. I'm excited to see what this does because I think the horror genre industry has basically always had an uphill battle to really kind of fight into Hollywood. I think with this might make them powerful enough to kind of really just kind of kick open some doors and force their way in. Get Terrifier 2 nominated for Best Comedy at the Academy Awards.
I think this will allow them to focus on streaming service movies, like straight to Peacock stuff a little more, which is notated in this article I'm looking at. So this is part of the
I think
idea.
Peacock, not Peacock, NBC somehow must own part of Blumhouse because that's where all these Halloween movies end up.
They have an agreement,
Yeah.
so I think
If they
that
were
will help
smart,
strengthen
they'd
that.
switch that over to Shudder. If Shudder was any kind of fucking
They don't have the money.
Yeah.
they need to take the money out. If they could grab the Wan and Blumhouse brands at least for a year, man, that would really put Shudder way back on the map.
That'd be a
'Cause
great exclusive.
Shudder's rad. I like Shudder. They've got a lot of really cool stuff, but there's also it's dwindling now that
It is hurting.
all the big studios are buying back their horror movies and stuff like that. Man, it is hard to find some name brand horror films in there.
True. I guess my only other concern with this merger is I don't want to see everything get homogenized in the same style of movie. A lot of the Atomic Monster stuff is already Conjuring universe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to see them branch out more.
I think this will allow them to do that. I think this is going to allow them to really kind of, we make our 2 to 3, guaranteed money makers a year. Let's take, when Disney, remember Disney used to, every year they had 3 movies. They had their guaranteed blockbuster. they had their secondary blockbuster, and then they had their third backup movie. Like Emperor's New Groove was a backup movie. We only got that because Treasure Planet and Fantasia 2 kind of fucking bombed at the box office. So I think we're gonna, like, instead of seeing those kind of get pushed back, we'll get a chance to see those come out more. And I don't think that, you know, I guess it was James Wan that did Malignant.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna see a lot more, like, you know, they'll take a shot. You know, if they're doing 8 movies a year, I feel like at least 3 to 4 of those will be, let's see if these hit. And if they do, then they can become the AAA titles that come out each year. And
that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping they still bet on these wild cards, like a
so
Malignant.
you don't have to do a Halloween every year. You could do a Halloween this year, skip a year, go, you know, next year, like Conjuring one year, Halloween next year, you know, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I got a pitch for them. Here's out of the box thinking. We are way overdue for a scary movie. That
Wait,
franchise
the comedy? Get out of here!
Late to rest for a while, so I want to see the Wayans brothers come back.
I'm good. That was a time and place. I think we're good.
Man, Scary Movie was a terrible movie.
The second one has its moments.
I think the first 3 are pretty all right. Then it really gets off the rails. Yeah. The third one, they did such a great spoof
Part 7 just really wasn't pulling it down anymore.
The third one did a really great spoof of 8 Mile.
Well, speaking of funny movies, let's talk about Terrifier 2.
Hilarious.
Was this movie funny?
I think there's parts that were pretty good.
Okay, I laughed my ass off at a few parts.
Art played up the clown aspect of his personality a lot this go around.
Yeah,
okay, my first question, how much time would you cut from Terrifier 2? With a runtime of 2 hours and 40 minutes, how much time would you, John, and Mark cut from Terrifier 2?
40 to 50 minutes. I think this would have been a real tight 2-hour movie. Well, no, it's 220, right? Not 240.
It's 218.
218, so 20 minutes.
My bad.
So I think it'd be a tight 2-hour movie, maybe
it felt
maybe
like 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Maybe an hour 50.
I think if you can get it down to an even 2, it would have been perfect-ish.
Yeah, you can cut like 6 minutes off of when we first see that weird fucking dream. That became like a whole music video.
That was the only part that I would have cut. Believe it or not, that's the only part, not completely out, but I would have shortened that down.
Clown Cafe?
Clown Cafe.
Yeah.
The food's strange or whatever.
I'll tell you what I would start to excise out of the movie. I would start by cutting down the opening, even though I love that opening song by The Midnight. I love me some synthwave, but we didn't need to hear the whole song while she's spray painting her armor.
I loved that intro. It really set the tone for this whole movie for me. And
it reminded me of the Friday the Dream Warriors, because that's how that intro is. She's building.
You keep saying Friday the 13th and then referencing Freddy movies.
Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warrior.
It's like the third podcast you've done that. I love this.
Here's the thing that the audience probably picked up on that you haven't, is that I'm dumb. So I do think
secrets
like
revealed.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying it wasn't bad, but when you got to think of the whole product, like it's just too bloated. You know what I mean?
I agree. With a 2+ hour runtime, yes, that would be one place you could cut and you would not lose anything. The Clown Cafe song, definitely, I think the lead into that could have been shortened. But honestly, like, I watched this movie fully expecting to be like, this is way too gratuitous. This is way too long. I'm done with this. You know, like, I only had that happen twice. Like, I was like, I'm okay with this being a 2-hour long movie.
2 hours, yes, but it doesn't need to be the length of an Avengers film.
Yes. They could have probably cut some of that possum nonsense. That was irrelevant.
I actually really like the scene where anyway, we got a lot to get through. Let's just start off by reminding the listeners, if you clicked on this one and you don't know what a Terrifier is, it's a creepy clown who terrorizes and basically mutilates people. The first appearance of Art the Clown was in a short film by Damien Leone, the director, writer, producer, editor of this property, in a short called The Ninth Circle, where he literally was only in it for about 2 minutes, where this girl gets kidnapped by Art inside of a bus stop, and then she wakes up in a hellish labyrinth where there's like demons and other things. But like
and that movie was called All Hallows Eve, I believe.
Well, no, this is before that. This was the ninth.
Before it was in this was anthology movie.
His very first short film called The Ninth Circle.
His first foray into this.
And all the feedback he got was like, man, that clown was really cool. You going to do anything else with that? Well, yeah. Then Garrett said All Hallows Eve was an anthology collection that came out in 2013. The third short being Art the Clown terrorizing a gas station worker where he smears his feces on the bathroom walls. which then would lead us into the 2016 movie, The Terrifier, where Art got his full-length film. It was like an hour and 27 minutes or something like that.
That one was too long.
That's
What? No, seriously, that movie did not have enough plot beats to make that movie worth an hour and 27 minutes. But
I like the first one.
there are parts of the first one that are very charming and very enjoyable. I go back and listen to our...
I don't know about that.
Go back and listen to our first Terrifier episode if you'd like to know our thoughts on that. But I was not a fan of part one.
The sadistic killer clown movie that had no plot, and I was totally okay with that.
Yeah.
Because all it was here, we're just going to do these gnarly murders and try to be inventive with them. And this clown who's kind of creepy and smiles a lot. That's the whole movie.
Like a Faces of Death movie, but like,
it was not.
They were trying to like really hard to like, isn't this clown cool? And I'm like, no, he's not.
The problem is that this new one, it has supposedly has a plot, but it's gibberish.
It does. No, this movie has a plot. I was in for this movie.
I thought you would hate it because I'd be like, man, Garrett loves backstory and wants to know
love
answers
backstory.
To there's no backstory here.
Don't get me wrong. I'm a in because it's all backstory here.
It's all questions.
But the thing is, some of the questions they posed were so bananas that I'm like, I'm in because I want to know more. Most backstories are like, and they gave the baby up for adoption, and that baby grew up to be a killer. And you're like, okay, who fucking cares? Like, we knew that from day one. Also, my second note in my long list of notes is Art their dad?
Good
that
question.
Was never answered.
But it was alluded to that there is some sort of family dynamic there. But let's get through
let's get through this, bud.
Let's get through the rest of the info first. So, Garrett, like your criticism of part one, Damien must have heard a lot of other people say the same thing about having very little plot. So then he spent 3 months writing a character-driven screenplay following the criticisms of the first film. And this is what happens.
Probably should have spent 4 months.
That was my biggest complaint in part one. I didn't care about these women getting killed or these dudes getting fucked up or this bathroom getting defecated on because I was like, why do I care about any of this?
But
in this movie, I actually no. But even in Friday the 13th, you care about the people at camp. At least to some degree.
I just want to see
Shelley.
I could not give a shit, but he's so annoying. I could not wait for Shelley to get stabbed in the face.
But the thing is, you were invested in Shelley dying. In the first one, I didn't care if anybody died because I had no connection to anything.
What about the guy in the wheelchair in Friday Part 2? You cared about him a little bit.
I mean,
right?
I cared about it.
What about the guy in the wheelchair from Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Franklin. Everybody loves Franklin.
Here's the plot. Bunch of teens are going to a camp where they shouldn't be and they get killed. The end. That's the whole plot of every single one of it.
You watch your movies like you live your life, simply.
Until, I'll give you this, until the end where then it goes, bunch of teens come and one of them has ESP and a bunch of teens come and then they get on a boat.
All right, look, John is right. There's a perfect place for popcorn drive-in flicks where you just want to mindless kills, and that's what Terrifier 1 is.
Yes.
You know?
But the thing is, usually the killer has some kind of gimmick or some kind of thing that really gets
The guy's a clown. That's his gimmick.
That's mime.
That's not enough of a gimmick for me, honestly, but okay.
Well, he got some funding from some private investors and then went to Indiegogo to raise $50,000, where he in fact made 430% times his goal.
Wow,
and ended up with $250,000 to make this film.
Wow. Wait,
that's what he spent.
Wait, no, this movie was less than $1 million.
$250,000 is what Wikipedia
with
says.
all the practical effects, this was less than $1 million.
Yeah.
Get fucked, man. That's amazing.
And at the time of recording, it's already brought in $11.1 million.
I hope that the actors got some points or something on the back end, because I can only imagine that they got paid like SAG scale.
I feel like Damien, he seems like the kind of dude who'd be like, let me hook you up.
He's like
I think he's definitely going to pocket and make that Ferrari money, but I definitely think he's the kind of guy that'd be like, yo, y'all help me do this. Here's a couple bucks. I hope so.
Because they must have got paid like in Wendy's gift certificates.
My mom baked you lunch. There you go. Have some lasagna.
Yeah.
Well, who's the actors in this? Because I've got a lot to say about the acting.
Oh, Mark's going to get there.
I've got it right here, as a matter of fact. This one stars Lauren Lavera as Sienna, David Howard Thornton as Art the Clown, Jenna Cannell as Tara, Catherine Cochran as Dawn. I feel like those two are from the first movie.
Yeah. Oh, but
Maybe
they were in the first. Yeah, they do that interview scene and shit.
Oh, fuck yeah. They brought that back. I didn't need to see that shit again.
Samantha Scafferty as Victoria, Kaylee Hyman as Brooke, Chris Jericho make his little cameo in the after credits scene.
I wrote down, I was like, is this Chris Jericho?
It was.
He's the best. Y2J?
Yeah. And we also had a small bit part from Felissa Rose as Ms. Principe.
The principal, yeah.
Yeah,
it's
talk
like-
about bit part, man. She was in there for 5 seconds.
I'll take 5 seconds of Felissa Rose any day.
But the way they blasted out that Felissa Rose is in Terrifier 2, like when they were filming that thing, I was
Yeah.
like, all right, 2 seconds of screen time.
I thought
she
she'd
was
be
there
the-
for 45 minutes and a lunch.
Yeah.
It's like when they advertise John Waters in Excision and he's there for like 2 seconds.
Yes, it was exactly that.
He had more screen time than Felissa Rose did.
He did, but it's still kind of the same thing.
I thought she was going to be the mom or something. Nope.
I
Just
know,
a
right?
walk-on principal role.
Casey Hartnett as Allie, Katie McGuire as Monica Brown, Amelie McLean as the pale little girl, and Elliot Fullerman as Jonathan, and Sarah Voigt as Barbara.
Okay.
How is Jonathan way the fuck down there?
That's a good question. I had to go back and screenshot them because it's like, where's Jonathan and the mom?
Yeah, they're like the co-stars of this movie.
Yeah.
All right, whatever.
Anyway, currently on Rotten Tomatoes, this one is sitting at an 87% with the critics out of
No.
61 reviews.
Okay, that's way too high. I'm sorry.
80% with the audience out of 500 plus.
I'll put it around 80%. I'll put it from anywhere from 70 to 80%.
This is the kind of movie that a lot of the places that don't get horror just didn't write a review for. 67 reviews is not
Okay,
that much.
that's probably very true. I guarantee you, like Siskel and Ebert aren't like,
Right.
being like, what we sat down and watched today? Terrifier 2.
There's no New York Times review for
Wait, I think one of those
Terrifier
guys
2.
is dead, right?
They're both dead.
Oh, okay.
Siskel died a long time ago. Ebert died about 5 years ago.
Okay.
But they would have probably given it, you know what? I bet Siskel, thumbs up, Ebert, thumbs down.
You think so?
Yeah.
You think Siskel's going to fucking stand for the Terrifier?
Based on nothing. I couldn't even identify him in a lineup.
Those
but-
guys hated all the horror in the 80s.
They
I don't
did.
think they'd like this one very much. Well, here's the plot synopsis as according to Voodoo.
Okay.
No Blu-ray to check, you know what I mean?
No.
No physicals.
Not yet.
After being resurrected by a sinister entity, Art the Clown returns to Miles County where he begins to target a teenage girl and her younger brother on Halloween.
It's amazing how wrong they could be in 2 sentences.
I know.
That's exactly what happened. The little clown girl brought him back.
No, wait, no.
When?
What?
How?
No.
At the beginning of the movie, when it starts off, we'll kick it off where it starts in the coroner's office,
Yeah.
where the coroner's crawling on the ground,
Yeah.
and you
The
see a
girl
bunch
didn't
of
do that, though.
You see a bunch of blue special lighting effects happening
Yeah.
from around the corner, and then Art is awake and he walks around the corner and continues to murder.
Okay, go ahead.
Wasn't Art already alive at the end of the first movie?
Yeah, he was.
Was he? I didn't rewatch
Yes,
the first
he
one.
woke up at the end and slashed that dude's throat or whatever, and that was the end of it.
So I thought we were picking up just right
It
where
was. It totally picked up exactly. Let's get through your description, and
Yes.
then we'll get hard on this.
No, I'm done. That was it.
Yeah, let's get hard.
Time to get hard. Here's your allotment of Viagra, and we'll move on.
Isn't that how y'all do the podcast, or just me?
No, constantly. Yeah, no, it picks up exactly where the first one ends, and I was surprised I realized that because I hadn't seen the first one since we did it for the podcast, and I was like, oh, this picks up right after the first one ended.
Well, if you plan on watching this again, or just go back and watch that opening scene, you'll notice that there's some crazy blue ethereal light
No,
shit
there was
happening from the back.
There was, but I didn't know that was. I didn't think that was the girl because she hadn't done any blue light magic the entirety of this film.
So throughout the movie, Art is going to be accompanied by a clown girl apparition that most of the time cannot be seen by anybody else except for Jonathan.
And
Seneca. Sienna.
Remember the colors. It's a brown.
I have her listed as Allie this whole movie. I was calling her the wrong name the whole movie.
Allie, poor Allie. That's the one scene that made me go, oh,
God.
we'll get there, but most of this movie.
Oh God, I forgot that was Allie.
Yeah.
Oh,
Most of the gore in this movie is like so. People talked it up so much, and it's like regular horror gore.
They did. I was expecting because the thing is, we the first movie we saw a woman chainsawed in half from
Yeah.
the labia down. That was rough to watch. Like it was really gruesome and intense. This one had some very intense like gore and violence, but I didn't feel like it was built. I didn't think it was the level that everyone had built it up to be. Now, is there a lot more of it in this? Yes, but I didn't find it to be that much more intense than what I'd seen in some other things.
Allie's scene is the closest I could see where people who don't watch horror could be like, oh, this is too much for me. But then at a certain point, mostly when he brings the salted, it just like switches over almost to be comical. Like this is too over the top now.
Well, it goes into Mortal Kombat territory. There's
Yes.
just so much blood and violence, and it is almost cartoonish.
So Art the Clown is not a character I've enjoyed in horror movies. I've only seen him in Terrifier, but I know he's kind of beloved and people like really rank him up there as like an identifiable horror icon now. I don't enjoy art. I did not think art was good in the first one. I know he had his kind of little mannerisms, but they felt very like kind of like one note and at times forced. In this movie, I fucking loved art. I don't know what David Hayter, Pierce, Green, Gordon,
David Hayter,
whatever his name is, David Anthony Chwan.
David Howard Thornton.
There we go.
Thornton.
There we go. That guy, David. I'm just going to refer to him as Davey from here on out.
Yeah,
Davey.
Davey, as his friends call him.
Like from the Monkees.
Whatever him and
Or-
Damien decided to do with this, chef's kiss, because I found him hilarious. Like his mannerisms, the way that the comedic timing of some of his reactions was so much better than the first one. I really, really get art now. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm in for him being in more movies because I think he really tapped into something that was like missing from the first one. I know that's my personal opinion, but like I was so shocked that I actually cared about this character for once.
I think they did more with him, yes, but I still think that it was kind of there in the first one.
It
Yeah.
was, but it's like, it's, you know, like when you start, like when you're first doing stand up, you know, it takes a while to find your timing. Like, you know, he found his timing. Like some of his like, one example is when he's like about to get his head lopped off at the end, spoiler alert, you know, and he like is like looking all like haggard and pissed. And then he like just smiles and puts his neck up like, go for it. Or the sunglass scene in the shop. I thought I was going to hate that scene because I saw all the pictures and I was like, oh, this is
so
going to be
good.
That was my favorite scene in
Yes.
the movie.
But the way, like when she's like, don't do it. And he's just got that like half shit-eating grin on his face. Like, I'm going to honk this horn. Like, I don't know what it is, but they really perfected Art's timing.
I think the difference is in the first one, he's trapped. It's like a one set movie, right? He's in this building. He doesn't interact with any other human beings besides people he's killing and that crazy, that's not sensitive to say.
When he's reading the paper
The
laughing
cat
about the
lady or-
news
The cat
story.
lady. Yeah. So I think that's like he just has a greater stage to exhibit his skills, but the building blocks were all there in the first one.
I think that's part of it, but I think it's more than that. I think he really just learned to play off others because it seemed like he was doing a shtick in the first one. Like, oh, I'm supposed to be like, I'm going to smile. It's going to be creepy. He smiled and reacted as if it was like the appropriate reaction for him in that situation. I don't know. It played so much better in this movie than the first one for me, which I was glad because if I'm going to have to sit through 2 hours and 20 minutes of a Terrifier movie, your main character better be entertaining for me. In the first one, I didn't give two shits.
Well, welcome to Team Art.
Yeah.
I am actually surprised that we seem to have almost flip-flopped here. You seem like you don't like this movie that much, where Garrett seems to like it quite a bit.
Well, okay. A spoiler for my opinion.
Can you Joe Pesci that for me? Okay.
Okay. What's a Ute? No, I do like this movie actually. I watched it twice now. That's probably one more time than was needed. But I will say, it was a ride, and I do like the Art character, but it's just too long to be rewatchable. And I don't think that I'll get a lot more out of it watching it like a third or fourth time. And it's too much, I think, to just like throw on in the background.
I see.
So-
I agree with that. I feel like it's one of those things you have to commit to sitting down and watching a Terrifier movie. You can't just have it in the background. You can't like just kind of look up and be like, oh, hey.
But I do think the first one is superior to this one. I do. I think this is a step down.
Okay.
But it's still a good movie. Doesn't make it bad. It's just not as good.
That's an interesting thought that I'll come back to in a second. I just want to say that in terms of the length, I think the length of it is its kind of negative point. When I went and saw this in the theater with my buddy Ryan, I was exhausted.
Shout out to Ryan.
Yeah.
What's up, dude?
What up, Ryan? I was
If you'd like to be shout out on the GraveTalk podcast, go to a movie with us.
Here's my PayPal. You can send me a little bit of cash. I was exhausted when I walked out of that thing. I was just
bet.
like, by halfway through, after the bedroom scene, I was almost desensitized to all the gore. That's exactly what my friend Ryan says. He's like, dude, you gotta get desensitized to the craziness, and then it just goes on for another 45 minutes. And it's like, yeah, on second viewing, when I could watch it home and watch it in pieces, way more enjoyable.
Watch it in pieces. I don't know how y'all do this. Like when I watch a movie, I have to sit down and like A to B. I can't like piecemeal this shit out.
On your remote, you're going to want to find a button that has 2 vertical lines. Hit that and
No,
Dude,
I can't do it.
You taking an intermission break. This movie needed.
It ruins the experience for me when I have to stop a movie and then come back to it.
You're gonna hate something called television.
Oh, okay.
That's why I don't watch TV shows.
Everything's
half the time,
episodic.
man. That's why I wait till everything can be binge watched because I don't do the like tune in next week. I'm like, no, I may not. Anyway, back to Terrifier 2.
In old school movies, when there was an intermission, a song would play. Mark, what would play during the Terrifier intermission?
Everybody loves a clown, so why don't you?
Everybody dance now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Love it.
I don't know.
Monster Mash.
Some sort of Slayer song or
Slayer, sure. We could do that. Maybe
the Monster Mash.
It's always Monster Mash, man.
I'll find some spooky ska song.
Okay,
Maybe this sounds like a carnival. You know what I mean?
Ooh, okay.
I'll play it.
Killer
here.
Clown's Dickie song.
That's already used. You can't do that. That's
Come on,
infringing. That's infringing on clown rights.
Look,
Only
they're all
one
part
clown.
of the same union, okay?
Right.
The great clown merger of 2022.
Oh, it's happening. All clowns will be one. Well, I was going to ask you guys, back to John's point, where he was like 1 versus 2. Mm-hmm. The first movie feels like it's almost like a Full Moon level Charles Band type of movie, where this one feels like it's definitely, you can tell that it's been elevated above that. And I hate using the term elevated horror. It's not that, but what I mean is like it's a step above his previous work. But I think I might agree with you. Like, I think the simplicity of part 1 is nice to just get in, get out.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I know what it is with you guys. The Art the Clown experience in part 1 was just that. It was an experience. It was a freak show. You go in the tent, you see something shocking, you leave, and you're like, wow, did I just see that? That was crazy. And then you move on with your life. They don't ask you to remember. They don't ask you to work with. They don't ask you to like invest time or, emotion or anything with it. It's just you're in and out, and you just had an experience. With 2, though, like, because it's so plot driven. Like,
is that what you call it? I would call it plot, like papered, mached over. It's the thinnest
I feel like it's
veneer of a
plot-driven.
plot. Tell me,
compared to part 1, this thing is written.
but part 1 doesn't pretend to have a plot. The movie doesn't ask me to engage with it. The movie says, "Hey, do a bunch of the work."
It's a movie. You're supposed to engage with it.
The part 2 does not ask me to engage with it. It asks me to finish it. It is like, look, I've written half ideas all over my screenplay, so if you could just run with it, that would be great.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. Let's get into it. Why does Art the Clown give a shit about cyan?
You're getting there. You're in a color wheel. Sienna.
Since when does he take prisoners to lure other people to haunted fucking parks? Why is he?
Well, that was my one big question: is when he had the chance to kill Sienna and he didn't in the bathroom at the ride. I was like, all right, you never miss an opportunity to take out your victims.
How did Sienna's dad engage in all of this? He's drawing the little girl.
There's definitely a few plot holes in some of the plots. Okay, well, guess what? There's an extended cut of this movie.
God, I hope not.
There is an extended cut of. I don't know why I'm yelling all of a sudden. There's an extended cut of this movie that's even longer than this one, and I feel like some of these plot holes that you guys are pointing out are explained in that.
But if you can't tell your story in 2 hours and 20 minutes, I'm sorry, you've lost me. I don't need.
Well, then cut down to the clown song and put some more.
I agree. The guy needs an editor. All right, look. He's obviously
got an editor. His name is Damien Leone.
I mean, it's like a joke to be like, compare him to Spielberg, but Poltergeist is like 2 hours. Well, sorry, that wasn't Spielberg, but point is, there's so many.
Yeah, Toby Hooper's rolling over in his grave right now.
I get it. There's so many good movies out there that get it done in 2 hours, and I don't need a 3-hour extended cut.
I know what you're saying, but I think that like from a movie that had nothing to hook the audience other than do you want to watch a clown kill some things, to a movie that actually like is like, hey, here's some characters you care if they actually get caught or kidnapped, or you care if like Jonathan gets rescued by Sienna,
because there was no danger. They were never.
What are you talking about?
Everyone around them. Everyone around them was in danger, but Sienna was never in any danger. She fucking got stabbed in the gut and then just magic heals herself.
Well, she got with the big sword.
Yeah, she just like through the power of love, I guess. I don't know. Heals up.
That's the power of love.
Like,
thank you, Huey.
Yes, I mean that would have been awesome. There's the intermission song.
Yeah.
Wow, you are just really animatedly upset about
because
this.
Here's why. Because 1 gives me what it promises. It's like, this is to your point. This is a very shallow experience. 2 pretends to be something it is not.
Well, wait, whoa, no, it doesn't pretend to be something. It's a movie and it's got a plot.
Let me maybe
some holes in it, but it's got a plot.
Let me see
Swiss cheese.
Let me see if I can massage some of this idea that you're putting out there, John.
Okay,
take your shirt off, John.
You got it.
Backs or legs? What do you want?
Oh, legs.
You almost made Garrett choke to death.
I'm gonna spew my drink.
I think one of the things that I was watching this and trying to determine exactly what it is about the storytelling that He edited himself and he said he almost kept nothing out. And then there's a quote from one of the articles he was interviewed in that's saying, people were telling him it could have been even longer. And I slapped my forehead and said, no fucking way.
Which people? Don't listen to those people.
Right. I think what I'm kind of butting up against, and this isn't no fault of Damien's at all, but I think the storytelling aspect of it is still a little amateurish. Okay. And it's still a little too simple for the length of movie that I'm sitting through. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of the ideas that he's expressing and he wrote could have been portrayed better in the film.
More concisely and more to the point. Yes, absolutely. I will give you that. I will totally concede on that.
So when you say like paper mache tacked on, I think maybe that's just, maybe we're feeling the inexperience of his storytelling.
It's a second draft. It's a second draft, and basically, like, I guarantee you some of the stuff they cut probably is more the story beat stuff. Or maybe they didn't actually know how to fill some of these plot holes. But I don't think they would introduce the whole father aspect if there wasn't something more there that we probably didn't get.
He did say in the interviews I read that he was writing this with making plans for a third movie. So he's setting up questions in this one that are probably going to pay off in a third.
And some of those I'm okay with not knowing because I feel like, oh, these are going to come out later. Some of them, like the whole sword glowing and giving her like Satan powers or whatever the fuck that is.
The last act of the movie is the worst.
I really wish that wasn't there because if you're not going to flesh that out a little bit more, why introduce that level of it other than the fact you just needed a Deus Ex Machina type situation?
The transmogrification of Sienna is instant.
Sienna.
Oh, that's a new one.
Sienna?
Sienna. All right, Sienna.
We'll get her name right one day. It is too abrupt and unexplained.
Yes.
And we'll get there when we get to the plot here in a second. I did want to touch on the acting. I think for the most part, most of the people in the film did a pretty good job.
Yes. The girl who plays Sienna, she is going to be a horror star. Mark my fucking word. She will basically be I predict she will be a new Barbara Crampton if she chooses to be. She has got the chops to act. She's beautiful. Like she really she did something in this movie. I wrote it down. Like she has a way of like conveying terror, like stable terror. Like when she was standing in the Halloween shop and she's shaking as Art is standing next to her and she's like, please don't, like the honking the horn thing. Like I was like, yo, you cannot just turn that on. Like she's going to be something. I think watch for her.
Lauren Lavera's character,
Which one was Lauren?
She's
Lauren.
the main
Okay. Yeah.
She is literally carrying this movie on her back.
Agreed.
This 2.5 hour movie, almost 2.5 hours, would not work if she was a bad actress. This would have fallen apart. Damien Leone said that he had an idea for a strong Valkyrie-esque final girl for 10 years, and then he finally had the opportunity with this movie to bring that in. And he sees her almost like the Batman Joker dynamic. So it's like Sienna versus Art.
Damien, pull it back a tad, my friend. Like, yes, okay, you know what? Let's say this. Potentially, yes, Damien. Right now, from what you showed us, no.
I feel like we are 2 movies away from this guy teaming up with Tommy Wiseau. And again,
I don't know about that.
The Room, Samurai Cop, art movie that we all want.
I think setting up a dynamic of the Joker Batman is not a great idea because I think Art is a way stronger character than Sienna.
Don't ever swing in the majors if you're playing Pee Wee Little League.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Damien is a very competent, excellent filmmaker, but don't reference Batman and Joker when their complex, deep, well-written story is so like, I don't know. I know I'm being super judgy about this, but like there's a lot of ground to cover before these two characters come close to that comparison. Maybe start with a little bit less and then work your way up to more.
They're not even like the same character archetypes as
but
Batman
I know what he's going with.
Joker.
I'm just saying he's that whole one can't live without the other mindset is basically what he's trying to go for.
He did say it was an inspiration. He wasn't saying just like Batman and Joker.
Okay, I'll give him that.
So,
but anyway, yes, I think everyone in this movie did a great job. Sienna, astonishing, did a great, awesome. But the mom is my favorite character, if I'm being honest.
Your favorite character?
Yes, she was awesome. I was like,
can we get a horror movie called Mom's Club where we get the mom from Excision, we get the mom from this movie, we get the mom from like all these different movies that just like hang out and have wine someplace and then they discuss their tragic, horrific lives that
I saw
about.
I'm into that.
A parent at the end of her rope, man. When Jonathan was like, I still have to go to school tomorrow. She's like, what did I say? I was like, damn, I felt that in my soul.
Well, let's get into the plot unless you guys want to talk about anything else. This one, like I said, kicks off with Art the Clown walking out of an alley with his patented trash bag at this point. I guess that's his bag of tricks.
So this was obviously one of those like scenes where like something's happening, but you're also flashing to where he currently is. So like the coroner's office was kind of a momentary flashback.
Right. Just moments before.
Yes. Gotcha.
Like I said, we saw the coroner start to crawl on the ground, going for the telephone. He's like, throat has been slit. He's bleeding out. He can't talk. He's got 911 on the phone, but he can't say anything but gurgles.
So like, stay on the line. We'll come get you.
Yeah. And Art rounds the corner. Like I said, we got some blue ethereal lights going on as he rounds the corner, and he kind of straightens himself up a little bit, walks over, and then finishes off the corner in pretty gruesome fashion.
Well, before
like,
he does
holy
that,
shit.
he points out how he got killed. He like pokes his eyeball where he got shot through the eye by the cop. He's like, oh, my eye's gone. And you see the hole in the back of his head. And that's when he's like, aha. And I was like, wow, 3 minutes in. And it's exactly 3 minutes in. We get insane levels of gore.
Right. So Art takes the blood from his open head cavity and starts wiping his name on the mirror, kind of to mirror the feces that he wrote Art in part one.
Yes. Yeah. He's a big fan of his name.
Yeah.
He loves it.
I want to see my name in lights.
It's Art.
Oh.
So, John, how does he finish off the corner? It goes on for quite some time.
Okay, so I to be honest, I blank out on a lot of it. Eventually, he removes the guy's brain.
That's how it ends.
Yes. And
he pulls his eye out to replace his eye socket that's missing an eye because he got shot through it.
It's a gag.
I know.
Like you said, he sticks his finger in his cavity, his eye cavity, his socket, and then he takes out the guy's eye, rips it out, and then stuffs it in his own. He's like, ta-da!
And that right there is where I was like, oh, we might have a different Art here. Because again, it was less like, like, I'm a creepy clown. It was more like the gag is what's more important than me being scary. And I laughed so hard when he put the eye in. He was like, aha, I can see. And I was like, no, you can't.
He also uses a surgical hammer to knock the guy's teeth out of his
Holy
face.
shit, was that what that was?
Yeah.
Because they bust that dude's head in like a fucking pinata.
Yeah, they beat him with a hammer.
A lot of pinata bodies in this one. Like, what was it later on? He crushes in What's-Her-Nuts' chest cavity.
Yeah.
Oh, that was rough.
Yeah, I think that was
Allie.
Allie.
Brooke.
Oh, yeah, when he gets the...
Allie was at the house of the trick-or-treating.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, he really fucks her up too, though. So he probably busted her. Anyway, we'll get there.
And then, just like John said, to top it off, he just tears his skull open and takes his brain out and is like gleefully looking at it. And then we started to get to some things here with Art that I didn't see in the first movie. Is he a cannibal?
I actually wrote, what is he going to do with this brain?
Because they don't show it. It cuts.
Yeah.
But I think he's starting to eat people's organs because he bites into Brooke's heart later.
Yeah, he eats like a couple hearts.
Maybe that's how he regenerates.
Ooh, I'm liking that.
Through the power of love.
That's the power of love.
Eventually, his eye comes back.
Yeah, I had a question about that. Like, that's what I was like, how does eye regenerate? But
And the
maybe
hole
it's
in his
he ate
head.
the brain.
Yeah,
maybe.
I think he regenerates.
There's some demonic power that Art taps into that has never been fully explained, that allows him to complete the cycle. And we'll talk more about the cycle towards the end. But
there's now a sprinkling of Art's origins or what is powering him.
There's some Sam Hain Halloween 2 shit kind of starting to like peek its head in here.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk supernatural now.
So he goes to the laundromat to clean himself up.
And the most supernatural thing in this whole movie happens. So Art covered in blood, and he wears a white outfit.
Black and white, yes.
Yeah, he puts it in the washing machine. Well, we'll get to what happens in between, but then he gets it out, and it is spotless. I don't know if Tide sponsored
let's
this movie.
Let's cue our OxyClean,
Yes.
commercial that we have lined up for this episode.
Astonishing.
Are you tired of those old stain removers? Well, do we have one for you?
There's got to be a better way.
Sham, wow.
Just slap it on there.
Yeah. So I was that's what that I was like fake. And then I could not pick the movie back
laughed
up.
my
I'm just
ass
kidding.
off at this scene, though. He walks in, he gets butt ass naked, he puts his stuff in a laundromat washing machine. He sits down and let's point out, Art is completely silent. He's a mime in that aspect.
Which, thank God, they don't make him talk. I think that would ruin it.
Yeah,
I think so too. He's laughing his ass off at something he's reading in the paper, and it's all like 4 dead in terrible head-on car crash, and he's just like, "Oh, you scamps!" Like, laughed my ass off, and then he looks over and sees a little clown girl. It's like a young girl version of him staring at him. Now, this is the part where I wrote down in my notes. I was like, oh, what the hell? Because I was like, what is about to happen in this movie? Because there's now we're getting into this weird plot thing that was never present before.
Well, let's flesh this scene out a little bit, right? So, while Art is waiting for his laundry to finish, there's also a patron who is like woken up to see a naked clown reading a paper. He's like, what
playing
the
patty
fuck?
cake.
He's playing patty cake with the ghost girl apparition, clown girl apparition.
No, he can't see. The
Right.
patron can't see this. He just sees a clown playing patty cake with himself.
Just a naked clown
Yeah.
covered in blood playing patty cake with himself.
as one does at a laundromat.
Yeah.
But Art's reaction to the clown girl apparition is one of like, what are you? He's never seen her before.
See, that's what I was like, wow, wait, what the hell's going on here? Because, yeah, he acts surprised by it.
Yeah.
Which I thought, is there like a whole village of clowns that exist?
And remember that her eyes will glow yellow from
Yes.
time to time. You're right. This is some sort of demonic
Amazing
entity.
effect, by the way.
Yeah, and so she's a demonic entity that, like the box synopsis says, has brought him back to life for some reason.
Okay.
This
So-
is just the form of this demonic presence taking on the clown.
So Terrifier 1, Art, just a regular guy.
Maybe.
He
I don't think so.
supernaturalizes.
I think he's
In
always
two.
supernatural. I just think we don't see that aspect of him in part
He's
one.
more supernatural in 2.
It's hard to say if you want to count the original short that Damien did, The Ninth Circle,
Yeah.
because Art basically kidnapped and escorted a woman
yeah.
down to hell. Is that canon? I don't know.
Damien, get at us. What's canon? We
Yeah.
need to know so we can make some head canon here.
Right. We want to build off your canon and make our own head
Oh,
canon.
maybe he leveled up, right? RPG style. Now he's like Art level 2.
Yeah.
Well, when he got up from the shot, like getting shot to the head and his head blown open, I was like, okay, this dude's supernatural of some kind.
At the end of part
At
one.
the end of part one, yes.
Yes.
So in this one, I expected like he had some kind of Sam Hain, like, like deeper like thing going on. But when the little girl clown showed up, that's why I was like, okay, is this a manifestation of like his thought process? Are there more than one demonic clown exist in real life in this world? And so when you see that she doesn't exist, when the patron sees that he's by himself, I was like, okay, we're seeing something, that only he can see.
Or one of the first thoughts I had when seeing it in theaters, like, oh, he's insane and he's seeing like visions that aren't there.
That was my first thought too until much, much later at the
Yeah.
end. But I'll accept the conceit that in the first movie, this demonic entity is what resurrected him, and we just didn't see it, and we saw it from a different angle in this one, and that's why
Right.
we got the blue lights. Fine, I'll give you that one, Damien. So it could be that this is when he became supernatural, if you accept that conceit.
I kind of like that.
Because bullets do not kill him later in this movie.
It's like Jason 2 to Jason 3.
Yeah.
Once he became this kind of demonic resurrected creature.
Let's do this. Let's go past this moment because I don't think this question is going to be able to be answered without us revealing the end scene and some of the other things that we
Sure.
see this young clown girl doing. So let's get through the plot so we can actually really delve into what this actually might be, because this is my biggest question mark for the movie.
Sure.
And the one that actually intrigues me to see more Art the Clown stuff.
We get a little more sprinkles down the way in the
Yeah.
movie. So let's
Sprinkle it
continue
up
on.
later.
So he mops up after himself. I was like, way to go, Art. Thank you for not leaving that for the poor janitor. And then he kills a man.
Well, you see that the broom handle's broken and the mop handle's broken. Immediately, if you know anything about Art, you're like, that dude sitting over there is dead. And he is.
He's got that mop handle jammed straight through his skull.
Poor dude. All he was doing was waiting for his laundry. Now, imagine being killed while getting laundry.
First mistake. Saw naked clown patty caking with nobody. Should have walked the fuck out
That's
that
true.
building.
Yeah.
Leave those Jinkos and come back later, my
I don't
dude.
need those clothes.
True. All right. You know what? Sympathy gone.
Yeah, straight up. Then we cut to the house where it's
like morning breakfast time.
basically the family element.
We get the intro with the credits and everything where she's making her cosplay outfit.
outfit,
yeah.
She's been working on this outfit for months and
6
months.
months, something like
she's
that.
making a very ornate
Okay.
Valkyrie outfit with wings and a sword.
It is a gorgeous cosplay outfit, but 6 months for that little of clothing
Maybe
seems a bit long.
It might be her
That's a good
first
point.
cosplay attempt.
Maybe.
Yeah. Now, does anywhere in the film tell you that that it jumped a year in the future?
No, it didn't jump a year in the future, did it?
From the...
How is Art famous?
You're right.
Yeah, it is a year.
You're
Yeah, it is.
right.
It
No,
is
it doesn't
because-
tell
Okay.
you.
Well, no,
I
because
was
when they're
so
talking about it,
confused.
they're talking about Jonathan's talking about she's like, we got to watch out for Jonathan. He's reading about serial killers, that clown killer from a year ago.
Right.
Because Jonathan's like, I'm going to go
No,
as
he's right.
Art the clown.
Yeah.
But it doesn't say 1 year later on
No,
the
it
screen.
doesn't. And
Okay.
Context clues kind of let us know that, but it's easy to miss that.
Is there a time jump?
Yes, there
okay.
was.
Yes. So Art's famous now. He's known as the something county killer.
The mom's downstairs cooking meat and has a headset on, so she's doing that busy mom thing of trying to run a household and still bring the income in.
she's
She's a
working from
single
home.
family.
She's a single mom, you know, so she's
Yeah.
got to make that money. She's like an insurance person or whatever.
Because evidently their dad's dead. They don't mention that at all. I'm just kidding. They mention it all the time.
Like every 15 minutes. Still dead.
Except like 3/4 of the way through the movie, they're like, oh, so this is what happened. And I was like, wait a minute. Y'all glossed over the fact that the dad was crazy, got in a car accident, was lit on fire, and burned to death. I was like, this is just now coming out.
Dude, I think Mark nailed it. This person is new to making. It's like George Lucas. Great story idea, terrible script writer. I think he got to the end of the movie and was like,
Terrible script. There's a Neil Breen film out there, okay? The terrible scriptwriter is a bit harsh.
he got to the end of the movie and was like, oh, I never explained what happened. So we're just going to shoehorn this exposition dump between two characters who have
Why
no
am
business.
I the one defending Terrifier too? This is so weird.
Bizarro world
Yes,
here on
it
the
sure
Grave Talk
is.
today.
Point it. So they do their morning routine, and the mom's like, no, you're not going to go as this person. People don't dress up as Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah,
which
because the
is like,
younger brother wants to go as Art the Clown, and they're like, you
Sienna's
can't do
like,
that.
no fucking way,
That's
dude.
terrible.
It's
What-
disrespectful.
It's like, what if you got murdered and people dressed up as your murderer? And he's like, I don't know, I'd be dead. So
And the movie spends the next 30 minutes throughout like different scenes, like kind of setting up that Jonathan, the younger brother, definitely has some like mental trauma and stuff that he's working through. But they kind of set him up to be like a antisocial kind of like
Well, he's got
psychotic-
these morbid curiosities, right?
Yeah.
So he's reading about Nazi camps, he's reading about other serial killers and such. But you're right, it probably all stems from his dad's death, right?
which evidently was stemmed from a lot of weird shit that dad. But dad also was an artist and drew, and at one point it's revealed that he was sketching like scenes from part one.
Right, he had the dead bodies of people
Which
from part
then
one.
goes to show the dad knew something, and his dad is Art the dad. Like I'm wondering if Art was the dad who died and got reincarnated as the
But
clown.
the thing is, they say he crashed and
Burned
burned
to
to death while Art would have been doing the shit in part one.
I think it was the same time. I thought it was a different time.
Because her dad hasn't been dead for that long.
Oh, I don't know how long the dad was dead for.
It seemed like it was relatively recently. It didn't seem like he'd been dead for like a decade.
Well, the mom's like you didn't spend any time healing or like expressing your feelings. So I thought the dad was gone for like at least a couple years.
Damien, you had 2 hours and 18 minutes to give us some time frames in this movie, and why are we confused?
Everyone acts like it happened relatively recently because when her friend does,
I'm just saying what I thought, but yes.
Because when her friend is telling the story, she's like, I think she's doing pretty damn well. It's like, all right, well, I guess it happened
you
recently.
lose your parent in a horrific accident. I mean, it's going to take some time. It's not going to be like a weekend and you're suddenly
12,
back on the
18 months
horse.
and you're good to go.
So anyway, basically they set up Jonathan to be this antisocial little monster, and that's played out through some scenes at school where some kids find a dead possum, and they're like, "Come check it out." And Jonathan actually is like, "Leave it alone. That's messed up. Don't mess with that." And like, oh, I wrote down, I was like, "Oh, thank God, Jonathan's not a psycho."
Yeah.
Right. Well, even the mother doesn't believe that. There's scenes with Sienna and her arguing. Is like, can you believe he wants to do this? She's like, Sienna, you fucking cut the heads off of fish that one time. Do you remember that? He's like, he's just going through a phase.
Which again led me to Art is the dad because he's a psycho. Because the mom's like, your dad was sick. He had visions and problems. And I was like, yo.
Well, he very well could be the father. That was a thought that flashed in my head, but the movie doesn't bother to tell
That's
us.
our episode image, Maury Povich. You're the father.
Oh, that's a good one.
Art the clown.
That's a good one. But the movie doesn't answer that. And I think that's part of John's problems.
Big problem.
Right. So Sienna, after working on her costume, lays down to go to sleep, and she falls asleep to television.
Which she's watching a nun cartoon. I don't know what cartoon that was. I'm sure it was made for this movie.
That nun just machine guns the priest.
Oh man, whatever that like, animated little like nun cartoon thing when I was like, that is rad. I'd watch that.
Yes, when she switched off, I was like, no, go back. I want to watch this.
Yeah,
It
more of
switches
that.
to your favorite scene, John.
This is the
Clown
worst
Cafe commercial.
Scene in the movie.
Worst scene in the movie. you
Not
said.
like
That's a bold
gory, not
statement, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
or like not. It's just bad. It just doesn't serve. It doesn't move the plot. Well, it moves the plot forward in the most ham-fisted way that they'll never explain.
Well, let's just say that as she starts to doze off with the television on, she's now dreaming about being inside of almost like a children's show commercial for a food truck called the Clown Cafe.
Which is art themed.
And it's almost like a soundstage, right? So there's this commercial's being recorded with this clown girl playing a banjo with the tune, although that tune is still not as good as Critters 2.
At the Hungry Heifer, we won't give you a stew.
No, but it's like the food's really strange at the clown cafe.
Yeah.
Some weird shit like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes on and on for like an hour, and somehow I can't remember it. Very
Don't
ineffectual
worry, because I'm pretty sure Mark's going to edit that in right now.
Drop on by the Clown Cafe, your favorite meals on wheels. The menu is disgusting and it's full of special deals. Nothing here is good for you, so grab yourself a tray, 'cause food's a little funny at the Clown Cafe. Drop on by the Clown Cafe. Drop on by the Clown Cafe.
On the other side of the soundstage is a cereal commercial for Art Krispies, where a little kid is eating a bowl of Art Krispies that has like slugs, worms, and glass.
what everybody
blades.
wants.
And razor blades.
Yeah.
And he's just smiling away. And then
I love the tagline. You'll never know what you'll find inside. And I was all like,
You know what this
I
feels
think
like?
bugs and razor blades. You nailed it.
this scene has the feeling of UHF's Uncle Nutsy's Fun Time
Yes.
House.
Yeah.
It feels like one of those kind of shows, or like a Barney or something.
I was
right?
thinking like in Mandy when they had that weird commercial.
Oh,
Cheddar Goblin.
The
Cheddar Goblin.
Yeah.
It felt like,
Yeah.
and then on the other side, there's like a nun ringing a bell, going, "Won't you feed this poor homeless man?"
Yeah, what was that about? Like, I couldn't tell if that was a reference to like, like
I just think maybe that was the nun kind of coming over from the cartoon into this
Bleeding
dream.
into her.
bleeding over.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So, I mean, it's a dream sequence, right? So it's going to be all kind of
Yeah.
weird and spaced out. But now Sienna's in a fort or a clubhouse dressed up like a little child with pigtails. And she's like, what the fuck's going on? And all
She's
these
going to know.
kids-
She's like, I shouldn't be here.
Right. And all these other adult sized people dressed as children are all singing and clapping along with the banjo playing clown lady. And they're like, we got a special guest today, Art the Clown. And the food truck window props open and Art's waving around. And then he gets out and he starts handing candy to all the kids. And he-
Quote unquote kids.
Right.
They're adults.
he goes up to Sienna and hands her a present that's wrapped in newspaper, and he's like shaking it at her face, but she's terrified. Like there's an immediate terror that she has. Like she recognizes there's something wrong with this fucking clown.
Well, she knows it's Art. She recognizes him as Art the killer from like previous. So
Yeah.
like,
Because
she's
she
like,
tells her
okay.
friends, like, I even saw a little
Yeah, good
dot on
point.
his nose or whatever.
Yeah.
So she takes the package, opens it up, and it's like a bloody black heart,
Yeah, it's
almost like covered in oil or sludge.
Yeah, and there's worms just all around it. It's like in a bed of worms almost. Very disgusting. Great effect.
Now, just trying to like, let's see if maybe we can massage. I've
Okay.
been using that term a lot lately. Let's massage Garrett's the legs, or Garrett's idea of Art being the dad killed in a motor accident. Heart and oil. Could this be a connection?
It's possible. Again, I think the connection they have is that it's the father figure. Think about it. She hates this thing. It stands for what she doesn't, like, blah, 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 blah. But she also cares about her dad, and she defends her dad throughout this movie. So, but she also knows he had problems and stuff like that. Because everyone's like, the mom's like, he had problems. No. Plus, also, why would Art target these two people and not kill them? Because they're his children.
That's the other big
And then-
question mark of the movie is like, why did he target this
But then I
family?
think also there's this whole like she loves her dad and cares about it. There's probably this dark side of her dad that she remembers, and maybe that's why she's so scared of this clown, is it reminds her of something familiar. Again, this is the vibe I was getting off this movie, so maybe that's why I connected more with these characters. But like I got this whole like, oh, she's gonna have a real hard time fighting off this thing when she finally realizes it's like what she's related to.
Interesting. I will say that I also built a little more headcanon here, or at least had a thought, is like, what exactly does this dream sequence supposed to represent? Because it feels really out of place when you're going in this movie, because it takes such a long time to get through.
It's like 5 or 6 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, it is like 6 to 7 minutes long.
Oh,
I
even
timed
longer.
that shit.
Yeah.
So what if we consider more of the supernatural aspect of Art? What if this is like some sort of like Freddy Krueger fucking putting out the feelies to find his next victim style of like dream shit? That was a
Maybe.
thought I had. Like maybe that's what this is. This
right.
represents like all those little people, or sorry, all the adults pretending to be kids. What if those are other sleeping people that have
That'd
been
be
pulled into like this weird clown cafe? And
It's like,
then he's
Pikachu,
still, like,
I choose you.
yeah. And then like he randomly gives gifts, and you got the black oily heart. You're my next victim, and as is your family.
See, and that like I got that kind of like I give you my heart. Like I thought that was Art's black heart. Like aha, I care for you. Like you
Right.
get something that these kids get candy. They get like like superficial shit. But you
Lollipops.
get my heart. Like I don't know. I got this weird like emotional connection that they had through this like love hate psychotic. Because she also is on meds. She's on like antipsychosis meds.
was
or
on
whatever.
Xanax. I
Okay,
mean,
was it Xanax?
Yeah.
Okay, she was chugging something in her room, and I was like, "Yo, this chick's crazy." The thing is, I was like, "Yo, cut from the same cloth," and I think she might become the new Art if Art ever gets taken out fully. You know, like. Anyway, I did a
hope
lot.
not.
I didn't do a lot of work, but this kind of fell into place for me. So,
Okay.
Damien, get at me. Let me know if this shit's real.
it just I would agree with you if the fourth act of the movie was different. But I mean, he just
Yeah.
I mean, he whips them for like 5 minutes.
Well, you know, have you ever had kids? Sometimes you just want to whip the shit out of them.
You got to rear them children right, you know, John? So he goes back into his trash bag and pulls out a fucking Tommy gun and just mows everybody down.
I laughed my ass off. I was
So
like, a Tommy
fucking
gun, really? Keep the change, you filthy animals.
It was great. And then he goes over and pulls out this fucking big old torch and just lights the clown banjo girl on fire. And then he dances with her while she's on fire a little bit. And then
That
she
cracked
collapses.
me up, too.
It's just everybody dies. Well, she crawls onto the sound stage where they're recording the cereal commercial and starts jamming her hand into the glass. And I was like, why? And I was like, oh, is this like a Freddy thing? Like she's trying to wake herself up? You know what I mean? Like from the pain or something?
Well, they said there was a special surprise in each box. Maybe she was looking for what that was.
Doesn't she pull the sword out and it deflects the fire?
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're
That's
right.
Because they said
Okay.
there's a special surprise in each box.
So-
There's a lot of movie to remember.
Yes, totally. So she pulls out the sword for the special treat. Art shoots fire at her. The sword deflects the fire out of her dream into real life and sets her wall on fire. And then she wakes up, tries to put the fire out. Obviously, it doesn't work. So she
The mom does it, and she's like, I can't believe you fell asleep with the candle on. Yada, yada, yada.
This sword was on display on her bedside table that was a gift from her father, right?
Yes, it was a gift from her father. And also, let's point out, though, when Art comes into her room later on in the movie, he sees this thing, does a double take, and he's like, aha, which makes me think he recognizes this thing.
Yo, what if her dad
Is the
an-
sword. No, I'm just
No,
kidding.
is an art killer. So he hunts this demon.
You're saying he's like the
There you go. Go with the whole Van Helsing
Yes.
fucking Dracula thing. Not Joker and Batman. Damien, come on, bro. It's right in front of you.
Yeah. I
So-
kill clowns.
Beep, beep, Richie.
Oh, I'd watch that movie, man. So maybe that's okay. I could get on board with that.
We should make a giant clown movie where all the clowns get together. The clown sortium.
I like that.
Yo.
And they all come out of one small car.
That's the credit scene. They just keep coming out, and you cut between a name, you cut between a clown
Yes.
We need to bring some of the lore from the clown, the movie Clown,
Yes.
into this.
getting out. Every clown can get involved.
Yeah, the
Get
clown.
union on board.
So she wakes up, freaks out, the house is on fire, mother freaks out, they put out the fire. Magically, the sword is unscathed. It
Yeah.
has survived the fire and there's not a scratch on it. Mother freaks out, as she should. She's like, you probably just left your fucking candles burning overnight and look what you did.
Yep.
Yeah. She's like, with these chemicals and the candle, why are you trying to kill us? All right. It's like
With the Pokemons and the...
it's like a super waste facility with this cosplay that you're quote unquote cosplay that you're building.
And Jonathan comes downstairs and she's like, get back to bed. And he's like, wait, I still have to go to school? And she's like, get the fuck up.
Yeah. She snaps on him so good.
This mom is at her wit's end.
Yes.
Which makes me wonder, what did she put up with her husband to make her so on edge?
Clown killing. She comes home. She's like, another fucking clown, Richard.
How many
Jesus.
bozos are you going to string up in the garage? I mean, really?
You know, yeah. You go to take a shit, and in the bathtub is just two giant feet.
So basically she's like, all right, go to school, you guys. You got me on my wits end. So they both go to school. This is where we see Jonathan with the possum, where they do the whole thing where
His
Felissa Rose.
his friends have found a carcass behind a dumpster and they're poking it with a stick and like, hey, check this out. It's cool. It's like fucking some Beavis and Butthead shit.
It is.
Yeah.
And they trick this poor girl to come look at it. He's like, I want to see these baby kittens that just got born.
Oh,
It's
I'd be
so
pissed.
cute.
I'd be pissed if I expecting kittens and saw a dead animal.
Right? I'll tell you, the worms to decomposition, though, seem off. So I
Yeah.
think this was a magical possum.
Definitely. So Felissa Rose makes her cameo and tells the kids to go back to class.
Yeah.
Jonathan's in class. He needs to go to the bathroom. He takes the hall pass out and he wandering down the corridor and looks over and there is Art the Clown and our little clown girl Apparition playing Operation on the fucking possum.
But were they really there?
Yes. Well,
I think Art was
yes.
Okay.
because they're sitting there and they're like pulling out all the entrails
Yeah.
of the possum. It's gross too.
It is
Like
The
a
gross.
effects-
baby. Yeah, it's really
I don't know
weird.
if we said this, but the effects in this movie on a $250,000 budget are fucking tops.
Well, they're
Jesus.
99% practical. There's only 2 scenes of digital stuff
Yeah.
supposedly, and it is top tier. It is like
Yeah.
triple A level gore.
This possum looked real. If it wasn't, I was like, fucking kudos
No
to
animals
you.
were harmed in making this film, according to the end credits, because I checked.
I like to hear that.
What if it was already harmed?
Shut up.
Yeah, it could have been a dead one. But in Jonathan's shock, he drops the hall pass. It clanks on the ground, and it causes Art and the clown girl apparition to turn and stare at him. And I thought this was a really effective scene. I was like, that's
Yeah.
fucking creepy.
Agreed.
I'm not even scared of clowns, and that is creepy.
Yeah.
In Art's like mischievous manner, he just throws the carcass at Jonathan, and he catches it like, what the fuck? And he drops
Hot
it.
potato.
And they're just fucking laughing because it was funny. I was like, that's a great move.
Yep.
I gotta say,
Yeah.
that's a great move. Now Jonathan has some blood on him, and then he runs away, and another teacher comes in and finds the dead possum. Well, guess who's in trouble now? There's no sign of Art the clown.
Because they think
Jonathan
Jonathan is playing with the
But
dead
why
possum.
would he do that? Nothing in his character.
You're right. I think it's tying into him.
Okay.
Garrett's theory that this
tied
is the
to these
dad,
people.
right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Or he's been targeted so hardcore by this fucking mass murder. He's like, I'm going to play with my food first. I'm going to go to school, a la Child's Play 2, and really fuck with Andy.
Okay.
Get his teacher to get mad at him. Something like that.
Okay.
Because earlier Sienna's like, they're going to find a dead animal with him, blah, blah, blah. And sure enough, here we are. Bam.
Yeah, Jonathan's sent home. He's suspended from school or whatever, and is like, for bringing a dead animal in school, mother fucking loses her shit. Even against the protests of Jonathan's like, look, I didn't do anything. It wasn't me. It was Art the clown. He's like, you shut the fuck up about this clown. I'm tired of this clown.
No clowning around, all right?
And then we cut to, at the same time playing out with the Jonathan scene, is Sienna at high school.
Right, we're
And
introduced
she's
to her two friends.
Brooke
Yeah.
and Allie.
Right.
And Brooke's like, I saw an interview like that Victoria woman did the interview where she kills
Monica Brown.
Yeah. Which one's Monica?
She's the interviewer.
Which one's the news host?
Monica Brown.
Okay, Monica Brown gets fucked up by Victoria. And Victoria's like, because this happened like the night before. And they're like, yo, you should have seen her face. It was all jacked up. Yeah, shout out to Damien for showing me that again.
Also, if you don't remember, in Terrifier 1, when we talked about it, we said, fuck you, Monica Brown. You were a piece of shit.
Yeah.
She was a piece
she
of
gets
shit.
hers.
Yeah.
But her friend is like, her face looked like my cookie. I was like, damn, that's fucked up, bro.
Oh, did you say cookie?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
she
thought you
ripped
said
it.
coochie, and I was like, yo, that's fucked up. Why would you ever compare your vagina to that?
Is it bad that when she said cookie, I thought she meant her vagina?
Maybe.
But she was actively holding a cookie.
Yeah, she was holding a cookie. So
and then-
Oh, I didn't see the Chips Ahoy in the hand.
Later, she comes back and goes, you want to go eat my Monica Brown cookies?
yeah, but at this point, Sienna has a panic attack because she's like, "Oh my God, Art's still alive." Because when she hears that, this happened, she thinks Art's still out there, and she's like, "I had a dream about the clown. I set my room on fire." Because her friend Brooke's being kind of like, you just fell asleep, whatever, blah blah blah. And her friend Allie's like, "Do you think that maybe the dream is what started the fire?" Which I was like, "Whoa."
No, she says, do you
the
think the
reverse.
fire started the dream? She's like, your body felt the heat.
Okay.
and-
Yeah, flip it.
She's
yeah.
like, you interpreted the heat of the fire in the real world that then projected in your dream.
Okay, well, still though, I shout out to her friend for being supportive and saying,
Yeah.
like, "Hey, you know what? Don't worry about it. Don't sweat it." So she has a panic attack.
Allie, I like Allie's character. I thought she was a nice girl
Yeah.
who just really
I
gets.
was so sad when stuff happened
Yeah.
to Allie.
Brooke, fuck Brooke. Brooke
Yeah.
sucks.
Brooke
Glad
does
she
suck.
died.
Brooke's all right. Like,
Oh.
don't drug your friends without
Yes.
telling them, though.
Yeah.
But like, Brooke's all right.
That is a big party foul,
She's
man.
got a nice boyfriend. We can all agree on that.
No, he isn't. He's a
Just
piece of
kidding.
shit.
I'm joking. All right, so she basically says that they go home. The mom is like, your little brother got caught with a dead animal, and she's like, I don't think he actually did it, because after the dream, Sienna's kind of taking a turn of like, okay, maybe some shit is going on. Maybe there is more
She's
at play
like
here.
very
than
hot
this.
and cold on this though, because then when she goes up to see Jonathan, he's looking at her dad's sketchbook, and she like flips out on him. She's
they've
like,
been looking
"You
for it."
have that? We've been looking at this for the last year or whatever."
And that's where Jonathan shows her. He's like, check out these pictures. And it's like all the scenes from part one of like beautiful watercolor paintings, by the way. But all these scenes of like the killings from part one. She's like, Dad drew these. And she's like, what the fuck? He also drew this outfit for, for a character that, you were into. Which again, maybe Art knew that this Valkyrie character was the only thing that could put him out of his misery. The only thing that could kill him.
But
So maybe
he-
it's his own like self-check.
Yeah, if Art is the dad, why did he give her this? How did he get this magic sword of death?
That's a great question to be answered in part 3.
Yeah,
Terrifier 3.
cop out answer.
Right.
So right before this scene, she's at the mall with her friends to buy new wings because her wings caught on fire.
She's
that
at a
she made.
Halloween boutique. Think Spirit.
Yes,
It's called Abracadabra.
Pretty
Nice.
good name.
Abracadabra NYC. It's a real shop in New York, evidently.
Really?
Yes.
This movie takes place in New York?
Right outside New York. Yes, it does. Because they actually mention it 3 different times in this movie to kind of give you an idea of where it is. We're outside.
Somehow did not
of New
get
York.
that. All right.
No, this store. Can we talk about this store? Because this is the shit. This store has everything.
To me, this is the best scene in the movie.
Yeah. It was like a Lucy's in disguise for our Austin peeps. Even though that one's gone now.
That's
but
way gone, but yes.
No, it just closed on Halloween.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought
it was
they'd been gone
open
for a
this
while.
last year. This was this last year, and now it's gone.
Damn. So she's there. She's looking around. Her friend Allie is like, I'm going to go look some stuff and get out of here. And she's like, okay. Boom. She leaves.
Well, she walks past Art the Clown. She's like,
Yes.
oh, excuse me.
Yeah, they bump into each other.
Yeah. And then he's staring at Sienna. And Sienna's like, fuck this noise. And then so she quickly runs away from Art upstairs.
He's leaning against the stairwell, and she needs to go downstairs to get what she's looking for, and she has to slide around him because he's not moving out of the way.
Who's Sienna?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that's when she ran upstairs to go check
That's at
out.
the end.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
This is like when she goes down there
Yeah.
first.
Gotcha.
She goes down and she's picking out new wings because in the fire her costume got burnt to shit. It's gone.
Yeah.
So she's like kind of complaining. She's like, oh, I got to buy these store-bought wings.
But that does suck. If you spent 6 months making wings,
Yeah, no doubt.
and now you're going to buy 25-cent Spirit Halloween wings.
Yeah.
Abracadabra NYC, bro. This is not some Spirit Halloween shit.
Right,
This is
75-cent
top tier.
wings.
Okay. So anyway, she gets down there. Art is being super creepy. She's like, wait a minute, this might be the real Art. She's got this like feeling about this. So she freaks out, runs upstairs to go check out. The clerk is like, can I help you? And she's like, yeah, I got to go. And he's like, okay, that'll be such and such, for the cost of whatever her stuff was. And she's like, I left my bag downstairs. And she doesn't want to go back and get it because Art's down there.
Well,
Bam! Art just drops it right off on the cabinet next to her.
she's in mid-sentence of saying, I forgot my
Yeah.
bam. This bag is slammed down by Art, and he walks off and he goes to the sunglass hut.
Not a great. I mean, look, we jump scares, whatever. This one was pretty well done, though. It was a pretty
Was
beefy sounded bang.
This is probably the most effective fun scene in the entire movie. Because as she's like timidly trying to pay for this, she's freaked out by this. She's trying to pay for this. Art's trying these sunglasses and flashing her different like looks with different sunglasses.
He gets a noisemaker.
Yeah, and then he does a mouth one, and the guy's like, "Hey man, you put it in your mouth, you got to pay for it." And Art just goes bleh and drops it out of his mouth. I laughed so fucking hard when that happened. Now, also, store clerks, bartenders, whoever out there, if you see someone acting like this around a woman, take note.
Yeah.
Get involved. Call somebody. You may die by clown, but you know what? Like, don't be a dick and just be like, well, this guy's seriously harassing her. I'll let it ride.
This guy, I've never seen anyone more clueless about.
Yes. This guy was just like, like
Oh,
clearly.
let me go get you a big bag. I'll be right. She's like, no, please don't. He's like, no worries. It's right over here.
Forget
she-
about it. It's a rape clown. You're fine.
She's literally shaking and like quivering. And he's
Yeah,
like,
she
don't
is
worry about it. I got the
shaking.
big bag back here.
Yeah, don't feel bad for me. It's fine.
And then when he goes to get the bag, Art picks up a little like horn,
Like a
one of those
bicycle
little-
horn.
Yeah.
and he,
Old
like,
timey bicycle horns.
Slowly is walking up to her, and she doesn't turn her head. She's still facing forward, shaking, and he like gets right up next to her face with the horn, and he's like, "Eh?" And she's like, "Please don't, please don't." And he goes, "Eh?" And she's like, "Please don't." And he goes, "Burn!" I was like, "Holy!" And the way she trembles when he does that too. Again, this girl's got mad talent. Like this was effective.
And Art beeps that horn like 19 times.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then the
it's
dude
really
comes back and is
annoying.
like, "Bro, knock it the fuck off." And I was like, okay, finally.
Well, yeah,
You're
don't-
finally catching on here, sir.
It only became a problem and it annoyed him. He's like, I hate that horn sound.
So anyway, she checks out, she runs out, she's gone. Art goes and closes shop because the clerk has upset Art at this point. Now, Art was going to kill this guy no matter what, right?
Sure.
Okay.
No, he's like, dude, you going to buy some or what? We close in 10 minutes. And Art like pushes the bike horn like very angrily towards him. Or not angrily, but like
Very
Yeah.
forcefully, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, that'll be $8.99.
Yeah.
And then Art goes into his plastic sack and starts pulling out chains and butcher's knives. And the guy's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Every once in a while, it'll be like a few coins.
A little handful of pennies.
Yeah.
And then like he's like, dude, look, if you're not gonna, and then he's like, aha, bills. And he pulls out like 2 bloody 5s or something like that. And then he's like start counting like the pennies with the change. And he was just like, dude, it was so hilarious. Oh my God, this scene was so great.
And then the clerk goes, dude, if you don't get out of here, I'm going to fuck you up. And then immediately with the quickness, Art grabs an empty beer bottle and smashes it against his head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pulls him out and then just mutilates the fuck out of this
Dude,
guy.
This scene It was pretty well done. He takes the broken beer bottle and just jabs it in this guy's eye, like basically up to the neck of the beer.
Real missed opportunity not to have blood pour out of the end of the beer bottle, as if he was like pull his head forward like he's pouring a beer out of the beer bottle out of the guy's face. I thought that was going to happen. I was like, oh, real missed opportunity to make that happen.
That would have been good.
Then he finishes fucking him up. He cuts his head off and poses with it as like a mom and her kid come.
Because there's creepy clowns in the store, like as a display, and the mom and kid show up and they're like let us in. Like, oh, they're closed. We got to leave. And then Art's, as you said, standing there posing with the other clowns.
And the mom and the kid's like, oh, that looks so real. I was like, well done.
End of scene.
Yes. So then it cuts to, it's Halloween night now. So Seneca is she's coloring her wings to match her costume, and she's going to go out with her friends. And
this is where I wrote the store scenes. How did Art get his eye back? And again, this is what I guess we're just going to assume that he has regenerative powers.
Yeah,
at this
brains.
point.
He had his eye back a little bit before.
Yeah,
this,
but
too.
I think this is what I noticed in the movie. I was just like, oh wait, he's got his eye back.
Yeah.
Shit.
She gets dressed up in her costume. She goes downstairs.
Amazing costume.
Yes, aces. Her mom's like, what the fuck is this? You look like a skank. She's like,
once
Mom.
again, shout out to slutty Halloween costumes. Ladies, do you. We're here for it.
And she's kind of berating her a little bit for wearing such revealing clothes. And she's like, well, Dad drew this in his book, and this was his favorite character, blah, blah, blah.
What does the mom
And then the
say?
mom goes, your dad would be proud. I'm like,
No. She's like, it's different to see it on the page and then see it on your daughter. And I was like, that's fair.
Yeah, she's not wrong.
That's fair.
Yes, but then at the end, she's like, your dad would be proud. I was like, would he? All right.
yeah, I thought that
Your
was
dad
a
was
weird
a psycho clown.
That was a weird line.
Yeah. Even
all right.
Seneca didn't know what to do with that. She's
What
like,
did her dad do? Did they ever say what her dad's profession was?
Clown
was he
killing.
a clown by chance?
Don't know.
I feel like we would have known. I think the kids would have said something like,
But before she goes out, Jonathan is like, I want you to just stay home. Please just stay home. Don't go out. There's something bad. He's like, look, inside of Dad's sketchbook, there's fucking pictures of like all these murders, and one of them is our clown girl apparition. It's what she was before she died, and she was a 10-year-old girl who was the child of circus performers.
2 mimes.
wait, what?
Yeah, it was on the clipping in the sketchbook.
Oh, okay.
So she was the daughter of 2 clowns or mimes at some circus, and she was found mutilated in a makeup tent.
So isn't it more likely that Art is her dad?
I don't know. He didn't recognize her.
Well, he's like, I thought I mutilated you.
Don't know.
Yeah. But
Still a question mark, right?
Big
So
one.
Victoria is that girl, right? The one who got her face ripped off and has the end scene.
girl?
The clown girl, the young clown girl that we keep seeing the apparition of. That's Victoria.
no,
right?
it's a kid who got killed by mimes at the circus where they fight
So
at
we
the end.
think the clown kid is the power source for creating death clowns,
Apparently.
and Victoria is just a vessel to keep the cycle going. Then
You keep saying Victoria.
Victoria's the chick got her face ripped off.
He's thinking all the way at the post-credits scene.
Yeah. No, I think the evil entity is possessing.
Okay.
Right? The clown girl apparition is a dead girl that died in a circus tent, and you're right, because you're connecting the glowing yellow dot that happened, or the glowing yellow eyes at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I think now that demon has possessed her to rebirth Art.
Okay.
I think what's happening is we got a demon who's body hopping like Exorcist 3.
I concur.
Okay. And just basically creating arts and shit
Yeah.
like that.
We got like a stage 4 hopper here, so.
Okay.
So regardless, Cena's like, fuck you. I need to get out and blow off some steam. Jonathan, I don't care. Jonathan confronts the mother with the book and shows him the sketches and stuff. And the mother gets pissed off and just tears the book up.
Yeah, well, in the mom's defense, she was trying to be nice. She's like, look, I'm sorry that you got suspended. If it wasn't you, that sucks. I don't see how that's possible, but fine. Do you want to come watch a movie? I'll let you stay up late. We could eat some candy. Jonathan's like, look at this crazy shit, Mom.
And she's like, I've had enough.
Stop talking about your crazy father. He died in a car accident, was reincarnated as a clown.
So she tears up the book, and then Jonathan calls her a bitch, and she slaps him in the face, and Jonathan runs out of the house.
And we will come back to his story eventually in like 45 minutes.
To be continued in Terrifier Part 4.
Yes.
The daughter leaves the party. The scene with Jonathan happens, and then we cut to the alley scene. So let's talk about the alley scene. Allie is supposed to be getting ready to go to this party also with Brooke and Sienna. But before she does, her mom asks her to hand out some candy. because of what? The mom's going out for a little bit?
Or coming home from work late.
Yeah, it
We
looked
don't
like
know.
she was coming home from work.
Something like that. And so she gives out some candy to some kids, and she's like, oh, cute costumes. Here you go. Trick or treat, blah, blah, blah. And she's a black van sitting across the way.
So can Art drive? Like
No.
Michael Myers?
I think he can. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think he
that's
definitely
cool.
can. But the little clown girl's in that van, and you're like, what the fuck? And their
That's
eyes
true.
glow yellow for a minute, and you're like, what the fuck? And that's where I was like, okay, there's something crazy powerful going on here with this little clown girl. And then,
Can I
boom.
just say, I'm more scared of serial killers and slashers who can drive.
Okay. You think the license really bumps them up?
Well,
a
there's
tad?
no getting away. I jump in a car. They can also jump in a car.
Is that a different class license?
A slasher license?
Yeah.
then it's a class D. For death.
But you're gonna go S, but there is a class S license already, isn't there?
There's probably a class D as well. I
Yeah,
don't
all
know.
right, cool.
I don't know my
Sweet.
licenses
Sweet.
at all.
Anyway, someone get the DMV on the phone. So she's like, well, that was creepy. She goes back inside. Well, she hears a
dong.
noise. Oh yeah, she hears it. It's Art. Art wants some candy, and she's like, "You too old to be trick or treating, bro? Get the fuck out."
Trash bagging it up
Yeah.
in her face. Give me candy.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, goddammit, you're too old.
She's like, yeah, this is a great getup. Good job, but this is for kids, and you're a grown-ass man, so
What does she
skedaddle.
put in his bag? Because she drops something in the bag. It's like one piece or something.
When
like that,
she
right?
comes, so she slams the door on him. Then he bangs, 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 and she's like, "If I give you candy, will you go away?" And Art's like, "Yeah, absolutely."
That's
so
just
she,
day one shit right there.
So she just throws candy at him.
Oh, okay.
She takes like a handful and just throws it at him.
and she gets a peek inside that trash bag, and it's full of murder weapons.
Yes.
The death accoutrement.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, fuck me. It's just like slowly backs up and shuts the door.
Yep. So anyway, bada bing, bada boom. 30 minutes later, she hears the noise downstairs because she's getting ready for the party.
Mm-hmm.
She hears the noise downstairs. She goes on to check it out. Well, her window's smashed in.
Art's just cooking a meal.
Okay. Art walks in the kitchen. She's like, holy shit, there's a clown in my kitchen. He turns around with a knife, and she's like, okay, it's go time. Death clown in my house. She runs. Art runs after her. Now, in this movie, they do a really good job of having Art do the creepy killer slow walk and still catch up. I really appreciated them really embracing that aspect of Art this time, because before he would run, this one he's kind of like, I'll get there, and he's always there. So that was really effective as far as making Art even more insidious to me.
Classic slasher being able to catch up with his prey.
And classic up the stairs.
So
Run.
boom,
Big mistake, Allie.
Huge.
she's in the
Run
room.
out the door. Why didn't she go out the door?
Art kicks in the door. She throws a little shelf thing in front of him. Doesn't matter. Art's on top of it. Art slashes. Bam, gets her. Now, I forget the exact nature of how this happens, but
Oh,
I
I've
know
got
what
it right
happens
here.
next.
You want to go step by
No,
step?
I know what happens to her once he incapacitates her, but everything that leads up to that, not really important. Let's just talk about the meat and potatoes of this scene.
Yeah, there's not much. I mean, eventually he just grabs her by the hair.
He's
and then,
chasing her with a scalpel and a pair of surgical scissors. Mm-hmm. And when he does catch her on the bed, he throws her down and then just slashes through her eye down her face.
Yes.
That eye is ruined.
Vertical slash.
That turns out to be the least of her problems.
Right.
And then he throws her on the bed face down, and I was like, I swear to God, if I see a clown rape a girl in this movie, I'm turning it off. I was so worried they were going to go this direction. Nope. Instead, he takes that scalpel and starts slashing her back open.
No, that's later. First,
What?
First he scalps her.
Oh, that's right. He scalps her.
Then he
And he takes the whole head off. You can see her brain.
yeah. So dead, right?
Which ain't gonna happen with just a scalpel, but I don't care. I was in for it in the movie because it was so rowdy. I was like, holy crap, he just top capped this girl off.
Allie, amazing sustainability though. I'll tell you what. She must be like a tank in
Adrenaline,
RPGs,
maybe.
because
You're into it.
I don't think adrenaline's keeping your brain alive when your scalp's gone.
Well, you still have that sack over it. He didn't remove the sack.
Okay, don't worry, give him time. Because then he cuts
You
her.
seen Hannibal?
Okay,
Come on, man. Come on.
That's true, but Hannibal cut a real small.
I know.
So he cuts her arm off. He does.
No.
Well, he starts
he-
slashing all of her arms and appendages down the back of them, and then he does a big deep cut in the back, and then he just stabs it for fun.
He stabs her spine.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck?
And then he takes her arm and starts twisting it
That's
left and
right.
right at the elbow until it snaps off, and he pulls it right
You
off.
get a piece of plastic and you're trying to break it off something, so you do all the
Yeah.
bends and wiggles in every direction to loosen it up before it breaks.
It's that.
That's
To
what he
save
does with
my
her arm.
sanity, I think I sanitized it in my head. so-
Holy crap. That part, I was like, wow, he's just going to break that arm off like a Kit Kat bar.
On the other hand, he takes two fingers
that's
and
right.
2 fingers and pulls her hand apart
Like a
in the
fucking
middle.
wishbone, just splits her forearm. Like, oh god, that was so.
This is
gory.
the worst, like the worst gore in the film by far. This is where I can see people like throwing up or whatever if you're not inured to
Well, the
this.
good thing is, at this point, Art leaves the room, and you think, "Oh, thank God, Allie, thank God." And her phone's going off because Sienna and Brooke are like, "Let's call Allie, see where she's at."
Right. So Allie's trying to crawl her way out of her room, and man, is she a mess.
Which I'm telling you right now, it was an iPhone. I was like, she goes to answer that phone, and she has facial recognition on. She's never getting that phone unlocked because she is fucked up at this point. Right before she gets to the phone, Art busts back in and like smiles, and he's got a bottle of bleach and salt in his hand. And I saw that, and I was like, oh no.
Such a
I laughed so hard. He's like, salt in the wound?
No, he bleaches her first.
Right.
And then he salts the wound, and his facial expression while he's bleaching, or while he's salting, he's just like he's Salt Bay marinating a fucking steak. He was so happy with what he was doing, and he's salting her head, the brain, he's salting her arm. She's screaming. I was like, get fucked. This scene was rowdy. But wait,
So dead.
there's more, Dave.
He takes such joy in like this mutilation and pain and torture. It's fun to watch. And like we've said, it's almost like
It's infectious. I'm just saying.
It's the cartoonish Mortal Kombat level of gore at this point.
Yes.
You're just like, holy shit.
Yeah, it loses some of its shock and just becomes like I don't
After
know.
this, it
Yes.
loses some of its shock. But up until this point, I was
Yes.
still like, God, could you imagine someone salting your brain? The pain level alone, like
Well,
you'd be
actually,
passed out.
it probably wouldn't hurt from Hannibal. That's what he was proven, that you can damage the brain. There's no nerves in your brain.
Oh, that's a good point.
Now, everything else about it, miserable. Don't worry. She was in a lot of pain, but the brain felt fine.
And before the scene cuts, he just tears part of her face off.
Yeah, he reaches down, grabs like where he cut the slit down the face. He like rips that part of the skin right off.
But doesn't he also give her like a blood angel, like the wings of her back? He pulls those up too. He really wrecks this poor girl. Then he props her up on the bed.
No. We cut away.
Oh, that's right.
We
yeah.
cut away because the
Her
mom comes home and she's like, Allie, I told you to hand out the candy. I don't know why I turned into Blanche Dubois there.
She does not sound like that.
No, she just goes, Allie, I thought I told you.
That bowl's looking mighty full.
But she's like, Allie, are you here? And then she sees the window busted and she's like, oh my God, Allie, where are you? She runs upstairs, opens Allie's door. And this part was the part where I was like, I think I might be done. Like, I was so taken aback by what I saw here.
Was he eating her leg? To Mark's
No.
point about being a cannibal, he had cut it up.
Cutting pieces. He was cutting strips of her body off. So
Her appendages look like sheet cake ready to be served at
Yes.
a birthday party.
Or like sushi rolls, you know?
yes, she is a lot of her skin's. She's on the bed, like leaning up against the wall, like kind of sitting on the bed. Sections of her body are just missing skin and muscle. Like her face is gone. She's like, she looks dead. Art's like carving up her leg and like look like he's eating it. And like the mom's like, oh my God. And he's like, oh, hey, you want some? Like he just like has flesh in his hand. Like, oh, hey, you're welcome.
He's pointing and laughing like, can you believe it?
Yeah.
How about this shit?
And this part fucked me up because she's like, oh my God, Allie, no. And then Allie starts moving. Allie is still alive. And then she's like, Mom. And like, I was like, oh, get the fuck out of here. Like this scene was so creepy. Evidently it was like an animatronic they made.
Yeah.
And like they had like pipes and tubes in the wall to make it look like her breathing and stuff like that. Oh my God.
So good.
It doesn't remove from the moment of the movie, but you can tell that thing's an animatronic.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the fact that this scene was so damn effective, and you're right, this is the moment. If you can make it through this scene, you've
It's
got no
downhill,
problem with the rest of
yeah.
the gore.
Yeah, the rest is just cakewalk.
Yeah.
Except maybe the dick rip part. That was a little bit personal.
Yes.
I was like, not cool with this, bro.
Right.
But we'll get to the dick rip.
Yeah. No, it wouldn't have helped either of them. But pro tip, if you come home and you see evidence of a robbery and your daughter isn't responding, maybe just call the police and then explore your house.
I
Or
don't
do
know.
both at the
I
same
don't know.
time.
I think the like, I don't know. If I came home and like my significant other was like not there and I saw like a break-in, I would immediately start like searching for them.
I'd probably do both at the same time.
I would like to say that I'm smart enough to be like, I'll call the cops and then look. I'll probably go instantly into like protect search mode.
But the scene ends with Art going to answer the door to give candy to kids, and instead of a bowl, the mother's head.
Oh, I forgot about
So-
that. How the fuck did I forget
yes,
about that?
that
He
was-
used the head as a bowl.
Aces. Such a, and all the little kids are like, oh, wow, ew, why is mine sticky? And the mom's like, it's just fake blood.
Oh, the kid in the fucking football outfit goes to reach another one, and Art slaps his hand and
Yes.
goes, 1. And just holds up a finger like, 1, you little shit. And I was like, this motherfucker.
Yeah, that was really
He's so
good.
pleased with himself too. Like you cannot help but be like just on board with Art in this movie. His enthusiasm is so infectious and fun.
Yeah.
It's terrifying, but like, it's just like, holy shit. Again, I don't know why. I'm standing Art now.
Yeah, hard. Art simp.
Did you say
You're an art
simp? Oh, I'm gonna change my website to say that. That's just how I am now.
So Sienna and Brooke are out of the club. They're drinking. She's like, I can't get too drunk today. My mom knows that I could be drinking, and it's been a rough week.
Yeah, so she
Brooke
must be-
slips Molly into Sienna's drink.
Such a dick thing. Dudes, don't, and gals, people, folks, don't drug your friends unknowingly. Drug them with their permission.
Okay, look, that's good advice.
So one thing I had to question immediately was like, wait, I thought Sienna was supposed to be a high schooler, and they're out drinking at a bar.
I just assumed it was one of those parties where they weren't.
It was a club.
True.
Club scum.
Here's the thing.
It's a
She was-
Hobgoblins reference for no one that remembers that.
3 of us know that.
She was dressed. She was getting drinks, is what I'm saying. With
right.
that costume.
All we needed was a line of like, I got the fake ID ready.
That's a good point. I didn't
know?
even think about that. They are, maybe even if
Yeah.
they're seniors in high school, that's still not 21.
Regardless,
Point is, they get wasted, and
Well, we introduced the boyfriend.
right,
Jeff.
Jeff, Jeff the douche.
Brooks' boyfriend. Yes.
He's wearing a just the tip shirt, but it's actually not a terrible.
It's a
design.
machete with, like, blood on it.
Eventually, they get in the hallway, and Brooks like, "Hey, by the way, I drugged you with Molly. Let's go have a lot of fun." Then
she's like, no, let me call my mom.
well, her mom's calling
calls. Yeah,
her.
the mom calls. She's like, I better take this.
Because it cuts back to the house, and the mom goes into. She hears a noise in the garage, and she goes
The garage.
The garage. Sorry, that's correct. Yeah, that's how the British say it. The Queen's English. So she goes.
Proper English, if you will.
She goes into the garage and sees her whole car covered in shaving cream and toilet paper, and it says "bitch" written on the windshield.
Which she references earlier. She's like, I'm going to be sure to park the car in the garage because the kids next door always vandalize the car and stuff like that. So when she sees this, she knows Jonathan must have quote unquote done it because he left stormed off angry. So she's like, oh, the little prick like did this as a revenge type thing. And she's furious on the phone. And then Sienna's like, Mom, I love you. And she's like, are you wasted? And she's like, no, I just love you. And she's like, okay, well, I'll calm down. Be safe out there. Again, it was this nice kind of heartwarming kind of like, okay,
it's a good last conversation.
No, what happens is that Sienna's on the drugs and she's feeling all
Yes.
warm vibes. She's
Well,
like,
of course,
Mom,
yes.
I love you. Mom,
I mean, it's not
love
called
you."
ecstasy for no reason. So,
And she's like, love you too. Don't be too stupid. Hangs up the phone.
yeah, she's like, go have fun. After she told her not to have fun. Doesn't matter.
You're underage at a club drinking. It's all good.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you know what? She did say, I'm going to take an Uber. So anyway, so her mom's is like, this fucking kid, I'm going to kill him. He's not getting away with this. He's going to military school. She's cleaning the car. Then she cleans the driver's side window. And who's there?
sitting in the driver's seat?
Art. He gets a shotgun.
The clown?
The clown.
Oh,
No,
shit.
yeah, not the concept.
Okay.
He gets a shot. He pulls out
Sawed
a
off shotgun.
shot, right? And
A
just
very short sawed-off shotgun.
blows her head just wide open.
And you see the top of her head fly across the garage.
Yes, hit the wall. It was very.
It was a very gruesome, well-done shotgun
What
kill.
I really enjoy as Art, as a villain, as a slasher, is that he will kill you in any number of ways.
Yeah.
Creative.
Sometimes it'll
Almost
be
artistic.
right. That's why he's named that. I'm sure of it.
Thank you for explaining my joke that needed no explanation there, Mark. I loved that.
He would be a lot less intimidating if his name was Arthur. Just gonna call that out there. Yeah.
Arturo.
Arturo. Maybe that one's in between.
Sometimes he will take his time and be delicate and intricate with his murdering, and sometimes he'll just blow your face off with a shotgun.
And sometimes he'll just chain you from stem to stern.
Yeah.
It's just however the mood strikes.
He loves his job.
Inspiration should be tapped into. you can't ignore it.
Variety is the spice of life, gentlemen. You can't just kill everybody with machete.
So he fucking shotguns her in the face.
Cut to Jonathan's out running the streets, being a little hoodlum. He sees the black van and is like, this is suspicious.
With the clown girl in it.
Yes. And he's like, So then he runs back home because he's like, this is some scary shit. And he sees
Mom, I saw a clown girl.
he sees his mom sitting at the table, face totally missing.
When we say sit at a table, prepped for dinner.
Yes.
It is a dinner time setting. The mom is there with face exploded.
Imploded, I guess.
Okay. All right.
Missing.
Mutilated, mangled. It's meat.
Yes. So Art comes out and he's wearing an apron and he's got like a cooking dish. And
It's a casserole
Casserole,
dish.
thank
He
you.
made mashed potatoes. I laughed my ass off and I was like, this motherfucker had time to make mashed potatoes. That's like, and I got to wonder, was it instant or was it like legit? 'Cause how long was
it? Was in
going?
a casserole.
They did not look instant. They look like
Yeah.
the
I
real
know.
deal.
That's why I was like, that takes 45 minutes to boil and then
Yeah.
you got to mix. And
Art,
then-
if you're going to commit to this culinary murder scene that you're setting, where was the gravy? Where was that damn gravy, Art?
leaking out of the mom's face.
Yes.
That's what the gravy was. God.
He just takes big old ladles of that stuff and just starts smashing the mashed potatoes right into the cavity of her face.
He did with his hand.
He
Yeah,
grabs it and just shoves it in her mouth hole, face hole at this point. I squirmed at this. I was like,
Yeah.
no. Like, that was probably the most, like, uncomfortable moment in the whole movie for me.
To Jonathan's shock and dismay. And then he gets chased down by Art, and then Art just drugs him with a syringe.
Reanimator needle.
Yes.
And Jonathan is knocked out.
This is where Art stands up and grabs the sword and looks at it like, oh, aha, I see you. And that's why I was like, okay, this dude knows what this is. There's something here.
In the sack with you.
Into the sack with you.
And so then it cuts back to the club and they're dancing. And
Sienna freaks out.
Sienna sees the clown girl and she freaks out. Yeah, she has like a panic attack in the club.
Well, that's more than a panic attack, but yes.
Yeah, so she starts screaming, and so then they cuts to the car where they're driving her
Yeah,
home.
Brooke and Jeff are taking her home. They're like, I can't believe we had to leave because of you. She gets a phone call from Jonathan.
Well, quote unquote.
Well, I was going to reveal that in just a second, but yeah, quote unquote. And then Jonathan's like, mom's not home. Like they kidnapped me. They had me at the old abandoned like amusement park.
Which every town has.
You got to come help me. And then Sienna's like, I've got to go help Jonathan. And they're like, it's probably just a ruse. He's just a little shit.
Well, no, you know what? I've been giving Jeff a hard time. He's actually not that bad of a dude. Because, yeah, Brooke is like, dude, this is a trick. Your brother's a dick. You've already ruined our life. And Jeff's like, you know what? It's not that far. Let's just go.
Yeah.
And so, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm on Team Jeff.
Yeah.
Or Joe or whatever the fuck his name
So
is.
Sienna gets out of the car at the place and goes to look for Jonathan. And this is where Brooke explains to Jeff about how her dad had a giant tumor, had it operated on, and then basically got into a car wreck. Then it caught on fire, and then he burned to death, or in the hospital or something like that. He died or some shit. Like, it was this whole elaborate, like, holy fuck.
I'm calling it. It's malignant. Art is the tumor.
Oh, love it.
Okay, all right.
That's why there's the connection.
Okay.
Okay.
You are my father's tumor.
It's not a tumor.
But he's like, you know what'll take our minds off this? A big bag of cocaine.
Yeah.
It's like, Jeff, my man, you are prepared for any situation.
When life gets me down, I like to snort.
And it was funny though, because Brooke's like, that doesn't do anything for me. He's like, well, first off, you're lying. Like, I was like, damn, Jeff, that's a bold statement there.
She's like, I don't like it. He's like, lies. Everybody fucking likes this. And Brooke's like, ha ha ha, you're right. And so then they do some cocaine and time passes. And Brooke's like, hey, where the fuck's our friend?
Yeah, they're parked in the carnival. Sienna's out looking for her brother. And meanwhile, she's texting Jonathan. She gets a phone call, but it's all broken up and she can't understand him. And then she's like, where are you? And then in giant capital letters, it says, the Terrifier.
Yeah. I don't know. So is Art known as the Terrifier in the universe?
You know.
Or is this ride the source of all the power?
The ride is called the Terrifier. Oh. Because at first I was like, okay, movie, you can't just do that.
Yes.
But
What day is it?
that portal-
Friday the 13th.
But that portal to hell is in the bottom of the Terrifier ride. So maybe
Maybe so.
Okay.
So I don't think Art is the Terrifier,
Maybe
even
it's
though
the ride. Woo!
you would have been not remiss to think so based on the first movie, because there's no callback to this at all.
Yes.
But we can all agree we want to go to this ride. This thing was like the coolest haunted house shit ever.
like
The
giant-
doll room alone that Jonathan wakes up in, where he sees the little girl cutting her face off.
There's like a demon church. There's like a giant rat.
There's a doll room. There's
kinds of stuff.
the pit of despair. I mean, there's all
Yeah.
sorts of shit.
It looks fun.
Get it together, House of
It
Torment.
looks fun. I like
Yeah.
it looks fun.
It looks pretty good.
I'd check it out.
Good time. So Brooke's like, hey, where's Sienna? She's been gone a long time. She's trying to get a hold of her on the phone. And Jeff's like, all right, you're not wanting to make out anymore. I'm going to go take a piss. He goes outside and starts taking a piss and then gets stabbed in the dick like 18 times.
Bam! Oh, what a and then Art just leaves him. That I did. Well, he rips the dick off.
Also, shout out to Damien for going, you know what? When you're drunk and fucked up and you got to piss, it's not a huge stream. Well, no, it's just like a kind of more of a dribble as opposed to a full-on piss. And I was like, yo, shout out, man.
You gotta go, you gotta go.
Sometimes you don't got to like movie piss. Sometimes you just got to like dribble.
Realism in your movies.
And then you get stabbed in the dick.
Yes.
Because as one does.
Every piss needs to be like Tom Hanks in A League of Their Own. If you're not pissing like that, then I don't know what to tell you.
And so as Jeff is on the ground, Art, to add insult to injury, rips his fucking dick off. And we say like rips it off, not like cuts it off, just like grabs it, rip like a fucking ape.
It's like you're taking the neck off a turkey.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Gobble gobble.
Jesus.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Runs up to the window, puts it on the glass for Brooke, and she's like, oh, hell no. He
Well,
breaks the window out.
He had also written just the tip on the windshield.
Oh, I didn't see that.
like Jeff's shirt.
Oh, okay. Fucking clever.
Yeah.
Art,
Okay,
man.
well played, Art. Well played.
Guy knows how to be a
You
clown.
mad genius. So anyway, he pulls Brooke out. Her leg is now fucking slashed from going through the broken car window. She starts running after Sienna.
Well, she kicks Art right in the fucking dick, and that apparently works because he backs off and then she skedaddles.
His look of like frustration when she does that, he's like, you butthole.
How dare you kick me in the face?
This is not how this is supposed to go.
Turns out it's still vulnerable to kicks. So,
So she runs inside to look for what's her
Cayenne,
friend?
Cyan.
Cinnamon.
Cinnamon.
Sierra Carpeting.
Sienna.
Sienna.
So she's running in there, like running away from Art. Art's doing his slow walk catch up thing. That was great. Sienna is still trying to look for Jonathan. Does she find Jonathan at this point or no?
Well, what happens is that Brooke calls out for Sienna. She hears Brooke is
Okay,
coming.
she goes back. She doubles back
and
to get
Brooke finds herself right into the restroom from movie one where Art was getting dressed. And you can see his name has already still been
Is
painted
that
Art.
the same restroom?
Yeah, where he was cleaning up and putting on the
So the
clown makeup.
Terrifier is the hub for this demonic shit. Do
Yeah.
you think this is the carnival that the girl,
It has to be.
mime parents,
Yes, I think that's why I checked.
what?
Which is why it makes more sense for Art to be that girl's dad.
We don't know.
We don't know, but Art is already a mime. He's
Okay.
already familiar with the situation. Like he lives there. He lives in the Terrifier.
Maybe Art is a familiar.
Could be.
yeah.
A lot of questions we don't
Anyway,
have
let's
answers
get into
to.
this. So Brooke now gets trapped in a bathroom.
Right. She's like slinking up against the wall as Art slowly coming at her with this homemade table leg club that has all the sharpest items
Chekhov's
poking out of it.
bedpost from the beginning where he was putting all these nails and knives and shit
It's
through
so
it.
Looney Tunes though, because you don't see it at first. She pulls out a stick, right? She pulls like like just a regular 2x4, and then he pulls his out, and then behind his back, you like pans around, and he's holding fucking like acid.
A jar of surgical acid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or medical acid. I don't know.
yeah,
It's-
what
It's
a-
the strongest acid in the world. Like I was reading about it. Like it's supposed to be the stuff they use in like morgues, where basically it can like it just having in contact with it can kill you. Like just contact with it is enough to kill you.
Damn.
Well, Art throws it in her face.
Yeah. Her face is melting off, and then he takes the club
Bubbling and ugh.
and bashes her in the chest with that club over and over.
Whoa.
He hits her.
He hits her in the back. She goes down. Her leg is bent. He kneecaps her, and her knee explodes.
To me, this
I
was-
like that was one of the roughest ones.
Yes.
that was
Oh.
when her knee like explodes. I was like, oh no! Like I was like, this can't get any worse. And then he just busts her open like a fucking pinata.
Yeah.
And then starts digging through her, pulling out chunks of rib cage, which I thought was a nice effect. Way to go, movie.
Yeah.
And then pulls out her heart and then eats it.
He's regenerating.
You think that's what it is?
It's gotta be. He's getting more
I
powerful.
think you might be right, dude.
Because
We're all excited about this now. We're in.
I think he's getting more powerful every time he eats somebody. Because think how easily he collapsed that girl's chest.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
And like, take all the way back to first movie Art, he was powerful, but he wasn't collapsing somebody's entire chest in one swing of a bat.
Good point.
So
Sienna comes in and sees the bloody
Chaos,
pulp on the
yeah.
ground, and Art is standing there in the fucking doorway like, see what I did? You like my work? What do you think? What do you think? Huh? And she starts advancing towards Sienna. And then Jonathan pops in behind Art. And she's like, Jonathan, run. They get in a kerfuffle in the bathroom, Sienna and Art. And he ends up banging her head against multiple
He's
windows.
manhandling her. He's like beating the shit out of
Right.
her.
And she gets knocked out. And then Art pursues Jonathan.
hate it.
Yeah, he doesn't kill her, which I have a note. I was like, why? Like, again, this is where I think there's a connection between the two.
Well, it's like, which one is the important one? Jonathan or Sienna movie? Which one is it? Is it both?
Well, I don't
why?
I don't know.
Yeah, because she didn't need to, or Art didn't need to capture Jonathan to pretend to have him. Like, at no point did Sienna go home to know that Jonathan was actually captured. It was all based on the pretend voice of the little demon girl.
Yeah,
So he
that's
could have
true.
killed Jonathan. So this last third of the movie is by far the weakest part.
Well, I thought they were going to put themselves into
conceptually.
Jonathan, and Jonathan was going to be like a young Art clown, like growing up or something like that. Maybe like it was like 2.0.
Oh,
or
like a
something
skeleton key
Except he
situation.
starts fucking eating Jonathan later on. Like he
Yeah.
starts eating Jonathan. He's like munch, 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 and I'm like, oh, I guess he doesn't need him after all. It's bananas. So anyway, he leaves her for dead. He goes to get Jonathan. They're doing this whole thing where he's about to fuck up Jonathan. She gets back up. You know, she's revitalized. She goes and like, there's this whole scene where they're trying to like duke it out.
Yeah, a lot of the next like 15 minutes is they fight in one room, they separate, they fight in another room, they separate. And
I do like that Art is using this whip style weapon that is like a chain with like
It's like
scissors.
it's like a cat of nine tails, and it's got
Yeah.
like scissors and spikes and hooks on the end of it.
He's
So
just walloping Jonathan in the back like over and over again. And at one point, Sienna like jumps on top of him and she starts taking the wallop.
when
Yeah.
and the real Passion of the Christ type feel
Yeah.
here. Like she's like taking the beat, and it's all slow motion.
Yeah.
You see her face, like I'm happy to take the beating to protect Jonathan. And I was like, there's some like biblical allegory stuff here because again, she's got angel wings. He's fucking devilish. She's getting whipped. I'm like, yo, there is some connection here.
Yeah.
But and then she turns the tide.
Right.
She like grabs it.
The whip gets caught in the bracer of her costume and she's able to grab onto it and pull it back. And then she starts whipping
The
Art
tables
with it.
have been motherfucking turned.
That's right.
And she's whipping the fuck out of him. And Art is just kind of like, he's surprised, but also enjoying it. And I was like, you know, he just never loses sight of like how fun this is.
And she does end up with, she had the club that had all the items, like the sharp
The
items,
nails
and
and-
she
yeah.
gets Art in the back of the head and then leaves him.
because she thinks he's dead.
Leaves him to like pull
When
it out of the back of his head.
When it's stuck in the back of his head and he looks at the camera and is kind of like, it's a living. I was like, what the fuck? This is amazing. So he falls and she's like, okay, Jonathan, let's get out of here. They're going to leave. But of course, Art's not dead. We know this.
Right.
And
This is where he gets shot by Jonathan. But he also gets shot. He gets stabbed.
This is during the
fight.
fight because after she starts whipping him, he turns the table on her and he knocks her down. He's about to kill her. He's about to coup de grace,
and that's where he gets
kill.
shot.
And then Jonathan sees the little like half shotty in his ankle holster, which was a great little thing. I was like, nice. He grabs it, shoots Art in the chest. Art goes down, and that's when like, okay, well, let's get the fuck out of here. Bam! Art surprises them. There's a whole fight again. So many fights at this point. There's a fight again, and Art stabs Sienna through the chest or the stomach with the
Valkyrie
blade, and she goes down. And he kicks her, and she falls through the floor into this sub basement with this giant like lit
Portal.
red portal, which it was a portal to hell. Like whatever this was, it
And
was like a
it's-
hellscape.
It's lined with like those makeup mirror light bulbs.
But red, yeah. So again, it really looked like a portal to hell because it
Yeah.
was sub basement. It was lower, and then like you could hear screaming and all this stuff coming from the hole.
Well, what she falls into is a tank of water inside of the Clown Cafe
Set.
Well, where everything's on fire and all the kids are dead with zombie eyes, just like singing the songs at her, and she drowns. She
She's dead.
100% dies in this scene.
Yes.
But then, inexplicably, her wound starts glowing red. The sword blade starts glowing red.
Well, it's when
And
he's
she wakes
eating
up.
Jonathan. It's when Art is upstairs eating Jonathan, and he starts crying out, and he's like, "Sienna, help me! You gotta help me!" And then she like sort of hears it, And then the sword, like fucking Power of Grayskull style, starts electrifying with red like lightning. She, like, her wound heals in her stomach with the same red lightning. She's resurrected, and then she busts out of the water, grabs the blade, comes up, and then now she's got the upper hand on Art.
Stabs him in the back, chops him in the neck, slices his throat, and then he kind of leans over, and then she just takes his head off.
Well, she raises her hand like, I'm going to cut your head off, and he's like looking at her like, you wouldn't dare. And then out of nowhere, he goes, smile, and he turns his head like, go for it. And I was like, wow, what a great, like, weird moment for Art, even in the face of, like, death, is like, fucking go for it. I'm not worried. Yeah. He cuts his head off, and then we go back to her. She goes and comforts Jonathan, and then they turn around, and they see the little clown girl
holding Art's head.
Walks up, picks up Art's head, and then like listens to it and laughs like he just said something fucking hilarious. And then she walks off into a room with it. They both see this.
Yeah. And then credits. But we got another scene for you. Just kidding.
Yeah, this movie isn't long enough. Don't worry.
We cut to a psychiatry ward. Victoria, who'd torn off Monica Brown's face during the interview, has been locked away. Chris Jericho is like the security guard of the place, and we're looking at one of the gals who's got a clipboard with notes, and she's like,
nurses or whatever.
Yeah. They're like, how's our star patient? She's like, man, you wouldn't believe it, that kind of number. But then they start hearing noises down the hall.
Well, the nurse starts humming a song. He's like, yeah, what is that song? I think I know that song. She's like, oh, Victoria's been humming it all day, and it's the Clown Cafe song. Which I guess is this supposed to be like a canon song now that we're supposed to equate to like Art the Clown? Because I could have done without him having a theme song.
Yeah, if this is his theme song, weak.
Hopefully part 3 will give us a better one. But she's like using blood from between her legs to write all kind of obscenities on the wall in her
whore, slut, Victoria plus Art and Heart. And I was like, wait a minute.
Right.
Because again, don't forget, after she got mauled by Art in the first movie, she's now killing people. So like, what happened there?
I don't know.
Great question.
So the orderly, she hears the noise coming from the room. She runs down there and she's like, oh my God.
After Victoria's finished writing the stuff on the wall in blood, she lays on the ground and starts shooting blood from between her legs and is like clearly giving birth to something. Her stomach is like bubbling and you're like, what the fuck? Like, I thought she was going to give birth to a tiny Art. I thought there was going to be like a tiny Art with a human-sized adult head on it.
Well, you were close.
Yes, that would have been amazing. Tiny Art with human head. Love it.
But Victoria, like
Wienerville, those little guy puppets.
Yes.
But the nurse looks at the thing as like, holy shit, starts unlocking the door. Number one, don't do that ever. If someone's locked in one of those units, you call for help. She unlocks the door, runs in, and you see Victoria there with her mangled face, has given birth to Art's head attached to an umbilical cord.
The severed head. And it's laughing and smiling and is clearly alive.
Laughing quietly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not out loud. He's a mime.
Yeah. He's miming laughing.
As covered an hour ago.
And then the nurse is like, no, like, oh my God. Troll 2 style. Boom. Nailed it.
End of movie.
That's the end of the movie. We get more credits. And then we find out that the animals were harmed in the making of this movie.
Good. Yeah. Humans, maybe. Animals, no.
So that's Terrifier 2. And I gotta admit, I'm sorry. This movie was fucking great. Was it too long to sit and like watch in the background? Yes. But was it a great experience compared to the first one? I thought so.
I'm giving it 3.5 stars.
Out of what, 5?
Yeah.
I don't know why I keep asking that. It's always at 5 with you guys.
I will tell you if it's never 5.
Yeah, that's good for our new listeners, though.
Yeah. 5 stars.
I'm going to go with 3.
3. Okay. I dinged it a full point for the length, and half a point for its open-ended narrative.
I went 1 for each of those, and everything else was good.
I do highly recommend this movie. I think everybody should watch it.
I'll give it a 3.5 too. I'll give it a 3.5 too.
It's fun. It's just long.
Yeah, it's a drag.
I wish we watched movies together. I would have enjoyed it more if I watched it with other people.
Probably so.
Now the problem is usually when I watch these movies with other people, they're like they fucking hate Terrifiers type of stuff. But there's like, this is pointless and gruesome and not necessary. And I'm just like, oh. But I had fun with this one. Some of the gore was definitely like, oof, this is going to be hard to explain.
Well, the gore was what you hated most about the first one. You're like, I don't need this kind of shit. I don't need that kind of stuff. But here we are. And it is the same level to me. Just spread out over a longer period of time.
But what I felt was different is Art was so much more enjoyable in this, and what he was doing seemed to click a little bit more per situation. And maybe that's just because I didn't have to rely on oh, a clown's killing somebody. Isn't that clever? In this, it was like, oh, the clown's killing something because that's what he does. What's going on with Sienna? What's going on with Jonathan? I had something else to grab onto.
Okay.
So if I felt like, oh, this is gratuitous and pointless, I'd be like, well, we're going to get to something that has some meat in a minute. Hey, what's up with that dad? Hey, what's up with this sketchbook? You know, like I had other stuff to occupy my mind other than like, isn't that crazy that a clown killed something? Because yeah, it was very comparable. You're right. But also Art had more of a personality in this, you know? Like seeing him at the laundromat, seeing him interact with that like little clown girl. Okay, something's driving him. Something's at play here. In the first one, it was just like, he's bored and he wants something to do.
So since they brought a little of them, lettuce, tomato, pickles, mayo to this horror slasher sandwich, you're like, there's more to enjoy here than just the meat, which is, in my opinion, the kills.
He's an art burger in paradise.
Well, it's like if you get
You win, John.
if you get a burger and it's like a turkey burger, you know, you get some other condiments to be like, okay, you know what, I can make this work. Although turkey burgers are great too.
So 3 recommendations for Terrifier 2, it sounds like.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that I'm saying yes, but yes, I recommend Terrifier 2 at least once if you're into horror. Like if you're like not super deep into the genre, start with other movies.
Yeah.
There's better like gory movies out there that you can like get the same feel. But if you're just your balls deep in it and you're just looking for something fun and crazy and over the top, Terrifier 2 could be a good way to go.
Well, Damien Leone said he's already working on the 3rd script for the movie, and he promised me personally, because I felt like he was talking to me directly through this interview, that he will not allow another movie to go another 2 hours and 18 minutes.
Oh, thank God.
He will split it into 2 if it gets to that point.
Yeah, he also said if you had any ideas for the story to just tweet him because he does not know where to go from here.
Damn, John. So hardcore.
Just kidding. I mean,
I need a professional headcanoner out there to help me cinch this movie up.
This is like Halloween 2, though. Like, what do? Do you just keep having Michael Myers, kill indiscriminately?
John says yes. John says absolutely.
Yeah,
That's why they exist.
does, but I think, you need a little bit more to it. So I'm glad he's going that direction. I like to see where he goes with it. Just like Halloween Ends.
Yeah.
It may not have been your cup of tea, but I'm excited to see where you take a narrative that's a little bit different than what we come to expect. But Terrifier 2, check it the fuck out.
The GraveTalk's interested to see where Art's story goes.
yeah.
Maybe we can get Damien Leone on the phone.
Not
Maybe so.
after my comments. Be like, John's not going to be there. Don't worry.
He's absent from this next episode.
I want him off the podcast if you want this interview.
Well, Garrett, what are we doing next time?
Next time, we are doing our 5th year anniversary episode. 5 years of this nonsense.
How did we make it this long?
5 years of y'all hanging in there, dealing with this bullshit. But we're glad you did, because next up we've got the 2022 recent movie, Smile.
Oh, right. Man, that one came out of nowhere.
Yeah, that
I'm
one's
surprised.
That one's a little bit crazy.
It's on Paramount Plus if you have that. You don't. It's also available for digital. The physical coming out December 13th. So when last time I said it was available December 13th, that was the physical only.
So you lied to us.
Also
Yeah.
coming out on physical soon, Mad God in December.
Fucking finally.
Mad God's getting a Blu-ray release with a ton of behind-the-scenes stuff. But then after that, after Smile, we've got our Christmas episode, Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Finally, we're getting to the classic.
We made an executive decision to not go with Violent Night, the David Harbour movie. We're going with the classic Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Pay respect to the roots.
I think that just had a physical release come out too. Like a,
You're right, like a 4K
Yeah,
thing or
4K
something?
upscale.
Then we got one more episode in there, and then we got Garrett's birthday episode, Sleepaway Camp. So for all of our Sleepaway Camp fans out there, that is finally coming up. So, man, we got some stuff lined up.
Well, gents, any final thoughts on Terrifier before we wrap?
Negative.
Negative Ghost Rider.
The pattern is full. All right. We'll see y'all next time. Thanks for joining us.